Okay. I'm here. Woo! Sorry, guys. I had the worst sleep. Wasn't my fault for once. I know. I've said it many times. But this time, I just had a cough. I couldn't fall asleep. I was laying there at God's early hour, 12:30 in the morning, and I was coughing too much. I couldn't sleep, so I ended up coughing until I was nauseous. Which is like, ugh, you know that feeling when you're kind of hungry and you're coughing, so it's upsetting your tummy, but it's not. You're not going to eat at like 1 a.m., right? That's not good. So you just kind of have to wait it out a little bit. Yeah, no, I ended up having to wait it out for a while. Kind of sucked. So I didn't end up getting to bed until quite late. But you know, we're back. We're here now. Hopefully, not coughing too much. Why was I coughing? I've no idea. No idea. No idea. No idea. So you just starve yourself like an orphan from the 1800s. Listen, 2K calories a day. Thoughts on lentil soup? Great if you're trying to hit that 2K calorie limit. Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Folks, we don't got time to waste. We don't got time to waste. Wow! Now that's a thing of beauty. Oh, is that good? Use your critical thinking skills, my friend. It's a motion to release the Epstein files, and so far there are 200 yeses from both parties and 0 no's from either party. The dam is broken. Skip to live? All right, we have 1 no from a Republican. We have 1 no. We have 1 confirmed pedophile. Oh, they've They've stopped fucking kids! They've retracted their pedophilia! Thank you. Thank you for the coffee, my love. Republican congressman, like, flop sweating nervously. No. Fuck! Shit! Fuck! Capitol Hill handlers, like, procuring an 11-year-old girl for him. No, shit! Fuck! Yes! Change the vote! Turning the pedophilia dial and looking back. Dog, that's like that's the GOP's whole fucking strategy. It really makes Megyn Kelly look like a fucking retard for leaning into the 15 is barely legal bullshit, right? Like when things were poised to basically like a unanimous vote for the release of the files, and she's out there being like, well, look at all the not votings. What's your perspective on that? They're voting. It always takes a while. How much is enough? Buddy, we are well past enough. The vote is passed. Trump's endorsement for the vote was basically his go-ahead to the Republican Party, you know? It was his, like, okay, this is a losing fight. We're losing optically the longer we hold out on this. Time remaining 15 seconds. This shit down here is completely fake, by the way. They put this down here. This has as much relevance to the vote as like a countdown timer in an action movie. You know, they'll extend it as long as they need to. Yeah, it's the NBA shot clock. What does NV mean? Not voting. We gotta know? Fucking Fetterman. This is the House, not the Senate. Fetterman joined the House just to vote no. It low-key feels weird the House of Representatives is actually doing its job. I mean, in fairness, this isn't really, like, doing its job, right? Like, the point of Congress is to pass bills into law, and this is literally just pressuring the Justice Department to release specific files on a specific dead criminal. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, this is very much not what Congress is actually for. The DOJ could release these files at any moment if they wanted to. Can you put the Diddlin' Kids song from the Trash Man on? That's probably copyright, right?
I didn't realize it was even a conversation.
Definitely write a song about how we do not diddle kids. Do not diddle kids. It's no good diddling kids.
There is no quicker way for people to think that you are diddling kids than by writing a song about it.
You gotta write a song that says, ooh, I wouldn't do it with anybody younger than my daughter.
They were always so ahead of the beat. Not in the recent seasons, but, you know, in general. Are the recent seasons bad? Sorry, that was a bit of a Charlie tone right there. Oh! We de-pedoed the one Democrat. Is this actually going to get a unanimous vote? Is this, of all things, going to get a unanimous vote? I can't fucking believe it, man. The pedocons are aware they're releasing files that'll be highly censored and redacted. Oh, for sure. I guarantee you they've scrubbed the files. But again, like, that just continues the conspiracy. The bill specifically requires that the DOJ make these files available in a public, archivable, searchable format within 30 days. So, if people go to the files and everything's blacked out, it's just going to continue the fucking... Like, what is it going to look like when they open up a file and it's going to be like in video censored for child abuse material, blank has intercourse with who later identified as a blank-year-old girl? Like, everyone's just going to say that's Trump. You know? At blank tower. What if they physically edit them instead of redacting them? I don't think they could do that. The number of people that it takes to go through files and scour them like this means you have lots and lots and lots of FBI agents on the case. There is no way they could convince that many FBI agents to do something that illegal. I know it sounds I know that sounds kind of naive, but the amount of co-conspirators that you would need to convincingly edit tens of thousands of pages like that you would have there would be whistleblowers. Somebody would leak it. You can legally redact information, you know, through whatever contrived reason you have, but I don't think they're capable of pulling that off, you know? Like, Christ, they can't do it. This administration can't pull anything off. I certainly don't think they can pull that off. That's way beyond the pale for them. Not morally, but, you know. Couldn't they just use AI to re-edit them? Oh yeah, like that wouldn't be obvious. Hi, you've reached the section of files formerly known as Trump's affiliations with Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. Only a very inquisitive and intelligent person would think to look this far through the documents. Now, Trump's behavior at Mar-a-Lago with girls later poached by Epstein, that wasn't just exemplary, it was stellar. Like, I don't know what... Look, none of us know exactly what the procedure is for scouring through files like this. I'm reasonably sure they're not capable of pulling anything like that off because it's this massive bureaucratic nightmare. Everything gets logged, everything gets registered. I don't think they're going to do anything like that. I mean, we're going to see soon anyway. Also, kind of as a side note, but if the Republicans had a better plan, like if they had a good plan to make this all go away, I really don't think that Donald Trump would be as angry as he's been the past couple of days. Yesterday, he could barely talk, and he explained to reporters that it's because he yelled at somebody over trade. He called that woman Piggy. Today, he's like being really belligerent during that meeting with the Saudi. You know, yeah, I don't. He's not in a good mood. What was that Piggy thing? We'll talk about it in a bit. Is there going to be any way to find out who voted no? You guys don't follow a lot of stuff in Congress. Yes, these votes are public. The vote might switch. That's what happened the last 2 times. 3 times. Thank you, Nuts. I know how Congress works. You really don't want to be the one, no? I think it'll flip. Could take a while for the last non-votings. Probably because those people just aren't here. Man, kind of a party down there, huh? Everyone's talking to everyone else. Must be quite a crazy time to be down there on Capitol Hill. It's not every day you get to vote on what is essentially a unanimous release of the files that are meant to implicate the president in the most notorious child sex trafficking scheme in human history. How long will the vote last? As long as it needs to. People are probably in the bathroom. It doesn't make a difference, guys. The vote passed. That's 427 yeses. How many no's do you think they're going to pull out of their hat? What if the no voting guy is like 600 pounds? Well, then when they throw them all in the arena, we just pray that he loses. Don't they need unanimous consent? No. Where the fuck did you get that from? What in Congress needs unanimous consent? Nothing needs unanimous consent. Sex does? Alright, woke lord. You're right. There's probably some bullshit that requires unanimous consent. They tried pulling a unanimous consent last week for an anonymous vote. Oh, but that's that's not like standard process for getting a vote through. That was just like cope, right? Like that's if everyone is okay with it, we can do it like this. That's not like required for passing a bill. Yeah, this one Republican no vote has got his nuts on the table, presumably waiting for an 8-year-old to come across them. I'm surprised that they've held out this long. I don't know why I said they. It's obviously a he. So what's the plan? Senate blocks it, Trump vetoes it, or the files we get are heavily redacted? I assume the files are going to be heavily redacted, but that's not going to help Trump all that much. Keep in mind, like, listen, guys, we are dealing with a political party so incompetent that House Republicans in the House Oversight Committee released tens of thousands of files that unambiguously called Trump a pedophile. Like, There were emails in there implicating Trump for having been meeting with Epstein after becoming the president. There was that.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Yippee! What a weird day. Big W for O'Connor. Dude, remember Nancy Pelosi and all those other deep state, like, fucking establishment Democrat ghouls trying to tell you that the Epstein files were a distraction from kitchen table issues? This is the closest we've gotten to bipartisanship since fucking 2010.
Pursuant to Clause 8, Rule 20, the unfinished business is the vote on ordering the previous question on House Resolution 879, on which the yeas and nays are ordered. The clerk will report the title of the resolution.
House Calendar Number 47, House Resolution 879. Resolution providing for consideration of the joint resolution, Senate Joint Resolution 80, providing for congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5 United States Code of the rules submitted by the Bureau of Land Management relating to National Petroleum Reserve in Alaska, Integrated Activity Plan Record of Decision.
All right, that's great. Nice! You know, I did not expect it to be that overwhelming. The dam really burst on this one. It is definitely going to go through the Senate. And then it's up to Trump. And if Trump vetoes it, obviously, that's basically the end of his presidency. If Trump vetoes it, that's pretty much the end. That would lead to such an overwhelming bipartisan deluge of hate. It would make no sense for him to endorse the votes in the House. Unless this was some kind of fucked up loyalty test, but no, I don't think so. You know, he's going to pass it. And then we'll have the files within 30 days. Can a president's veto get overruled? Yes, by a 2/3 majority in the Senate. But again, he's not going to veto.
The National Petroleum Council to issue a report with respect to the petrochemical refineries.
Senate gets to amend the bill, then it goes back to the House. There's not going to be any amending this bill. There's no political room for this to get kicked back and forth. I'm confused. Why do you think he wouldn't veto if he's culpable? Because he encouraged people to vote for this. And again, this is all about PR damage, right? Him vetoing would be more damaging than him to have just kept stalling it in the House forever. Certainly it's been scrubbed.
Vote by electronic device. This is a 5-minute vote.
Yeah, they're on their bullshit now. Is there a thrown the fuck out option for a president? Like, that, can they get impeached so hard they stop being president? Yes. What? That's what it does. It's called impeachment. If there's a conviction. Every time we cover anything from Congress, I'm reminded that for a lot of you guys, politics is like arguing about gender politics and making dick jokes. It's fine. It's fine. The majority report seems convinced that when it goes to the Senate, they are going to change the wording on the legislation, send it back to the House, and kind of hope a bunch of people forget about it over the next 2 months. If that is the plan, that would be fucking insane. I don't think so. The whole point here is to smooth over the optics. That would make them look so fucking bad. For Thune to push for, edits to be kicked back to the House, that's ridiculous. According to the New York Times, the one nay vote was Clay Higgins of Louisiana. Clay Higgins. Yeah, that tracks. What's going on here? Different congressional shit. Different congressional shit. Don't get confused, okay? Don't use your neurons on liking and subscribing and donating to me, okay? You don't need to focus on this. Huh? Nobody, I thought it'd be Fetterman. Guys, the live stream chat is on the screen. Stop embarrassing me. Fetterman is a senator. Senator Fetterman. This is the House. Please. It wouldn't be so bad if I didn't have chat on screen, but like you're implicating me here. I talk about this stuff. It's not my fault. From my understanding, it would be worded to protect the victims of Epstein's identity. My understanding is that the current version of the bill to release the files already gives the DOJ permission to make edits to protect the identities of the victims of Epstein. So that's not even like something they could amend. It's already there. Did you see the call from Epstein's brother saying they're editing the files to remove Republicans? Sure, but like, okay, for one, I'm sure that he's correct on this, but also everyone knows that he has no special insider information on the topic, right? Let me get that clip up.
What I do want to talk about is I've been recently told the reason they're going to be releasing these things and the reason for the flip is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republican names out of it. That's what I was told by a pretty good source.
I don't really think he has any insider information. I certainly don't think that somebody from the DOJ or the FBI would reach out to Epstein's brother to tell him this for some reason. They need to arrest his brother. Isn't Epstein's brother like a normal guy? Like, obviously he met with Epstein because they were related, but I don't think there's ever been any evidence that that Mark Epstein was involved at all. A normal guy that knew everything. Well, I don't think he knew I think he was just like a regular guy. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he's ever been implicated. Didn't he say he found out after Epstein's conviction? I guess we'll see how it goes. Clay Higgins wrote on Twitter about the vote. Already? Oh my fucking god. Look at that, man. It's been out for 10 minutes, 600 comments. I have been a principled no on this from the beginning. What was wrong with this bill 3 months ago is still wrong today. It abandons 250 years of criminal justice procedure in America. As written, this bill reveals and injures thousands of innocent people, witnesses, people who provided alibis, family members, etc. If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to a rabid media will result in innocent people being hurt. This is just a lie. It's just a lie. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. The version of the bill that is passed specifically allows the DOJ to censor information to protect the victims of Epstein. Like this is it's that was added. Protections for unrelated parties. Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough investigation that has already released well over 60,000 pages of documents. The effort will continue manner provides. Yeah, just a dead ender on this. I wonder if he was told to fall on the sword, you know? I wonder. But why? No clue. Sometimes the only political analysis you need is just these people are dumb and pedophilic. I don't know. Sometimes that's all you can really work with. Oh, goddamn. I did not expect a near unanimous vote. Let me toss that to the editors. Shoo. Texas gerrymandering is floundering. One thing at a time. Ugh. I'm under attack. Bagheera, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? How do you feel about the release of the Epstein files?
She's in them.
Are you in them? Were you at Little St. James? What were you doing? What were you doing? Explain yourself. Oh. Wow. Ah, she's fine. That's so fucked up, he ate a cat. Gonna release the files. She's rubbing her face against a toy fish. Can we, like, look at the lengths of the censor bars to estimate whose name is being censored? Yeah, I mean, that's a method, you know? Wow, that mic cap is looking more dusty than usual. Why the fuck you people... Why are you always on my shit? Get off my fucking nuts. What the hell? Fucking dusty. Yeah, okay, sorry. I don't think of replacing it every month. So when is the Senate going to get this? Like 6 months? Nah, it won't be that long. It won't be that long. We'll get there. Don't you worry. All right. All right. Hold on. I need my daily dose of Harry Enton. Okay? Can we get a little bit of that? Run the numbers.
Today, the House will finally vote to force the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files from the Justice Department. President Trump now says that he will sign that bill if it reaches his desk. It is quite a 180 and reversal from the stance that he had just a few days ago and held for many, many months.
Why are you wearing the 40-year-old dad shirt? It's actually called a short sleeve sweatshirt with raglan sleeves. It's been common athletic wear for well over a century. I have no idea how you get these associations in your head, you know? Are there some dads who wear classic athletic wear? Probably, you know? I imagine they also wear, like, underwear. I'm wearing underwear right now.
Republican leaders were bracing last week for many Republican members to vote in support of the files. And now, with Trump's blessing, it's expected to receive even more Republican support. What are the numbers behind this? CNN's Harry Enton is running the numbers for you on this. Why were Republicans willing, from the numbers that you see, on this one to go against what Donald Trump wanted?
You know, usually Donald Trump has his pulse on the Republican base, but he did not on this issue. Because what are we talking about, Kate Baldwin? Well, GOP on the Epstein files. Approve of Trump. We're used to seeing approval of Trump among Republicans being 85, 90%. But when it came to the Epstein files, look at this. Just 44%, south of 50% of Republicans actually approved on Donald Trump when it came to the Epstein files. Compare that to this. What was the percentage of Republicans that wanted all of the Epstein files released? 67%. So
I'm pulling this from an MSNBC commentator, but I think that one of the best ways to describe it is that on almost every issue, Trump has led the Republican base. Trump tells them what to believe and what to care about and how to feel. On this issue, uniquely, the base has told Donald Trump what to do. It hasn't happened before. I can't think of any other time it's happened before where he has been so obviously, openly unwilling to do or say something and has been dragged along.
What we were dealing with is simple mathematics. The Republican base was against Donald Trump on the Epstein files. They were with the idea of releasing him. The Republican representatives saw that and therefore were not afraid to go against Donald Trump, because this was the rare instance in which the Republican base was not with Donald Trump. They were actually with the idea of being against Donald Trump and releasing the Epstein files.
And one way that you have long been able to kind of gauge, at least if people are really interested in something, is how you're gauging on Google searches. What has that shown over the last
Yeah, what is that showing? You know, back in July, there was this idea, there was this push, right, to release the Epstein files, and Mike Johnson said, you know what, I'm sending the House home, adios amigos, goodbye. There was interest in it, but not to the degree that we're seeing right now. Okay, Google searches for Jeffrey Epstein versus a week ago, up nearly 1,200%. That, we have seen more searches.
Top associated search topic is Trump. I mean, we know it is, right? That's not new information, but oh my God.
Over the last 5-day period for Jeffrey Epstein than any 5-day period this entire year, much more so than we saw even in July. And more than that, the top associated search topic with Jeffrey Epstein was Donald Trump. This problem, simply put, was not going away. So what you were dealing with was many Republicans unhappy with how Trump was dealing with the Epstein files, many Republicans wanting those Epstein files released, and more than that, it was climbing in the interest levels, so it wasn't going away. So all of a sudden, the Republican representatives are saying, jailbreak time, adios amigos, we're going to leave Donald Trump. We are going to vote to release those files long before Donald Trump even said, you know what, you should release them all.
What are you seeing in terms of what people think really are the chances that the files will be released now?
Okay, so we're going to hold this House vote, right?
Well, now we know the answer, don't we? But let's see how close they get.
Right, and we expect...
I doubt they're going to guess near unanimous. That's pretty crazy.
That a lot of House Republicans are going to say release them. But there is still a problem insofar as getting them released. That is, one of the biggest problems is the United States Senate. They may not even vote on it. And so here we go. This is, I think, a good sort of baseline understanding of, will Donald Trump actually release any more Epstein?
They already voted, Vosh? Yes. Yes, they did, which is why I said we know how they're going to vote. Let's see how close they get.
Files before the end of his second term. On Saturday, it was 50%. Now Trump says, you know, we should release them all. If a bill gets to my desk, I would sign it. But even so, it's still 72%. So majority chance that we will see more Epstein files. I think it's a good use of the prediction markets because it's conventional wisdom.
Get your Kalshi numbers out there. It is genuinely distressing and civilizationally ruinous that Polymarket, Kalshi, whatever betting odds have replaced polling numbers. No, like no one talks about polling data anymore, you know? They heard me say, you know, polling is satanic too many times. And they were like, okay, we found the next best thing. And they found the next worst thing.
Baseline where people are putting their money, but it's still far less than 100% because, hey, look, we got to still wait and see if the United States Senate actually gets a vote on this.
Yeah, there's a lot that still does need to happen before that's a sure thing. It's good to see you, Harry. Thank you so much.
Kate.
John.
All right, with us now is Lisa Bloom, a victims' rights attorney who has represented 11 Epstein survivors. Lisa, good to see you. And we are expecting to hear from a group of survivors up on Capitol Hill very shortly in advance of this House vote. Wondering if you have a sense of how the survivor community is feeling now, because a lot has happened in just the last week between the emails that came out, this sudden reversal from the president, this imminent House vote. What's the feeling in the community?
Well, thanks, John. I can tell you that the 11 very brave women who I've been representing since 2019 are really suffering as this is thrown around like a political football. And all they have ever wanted was accountability and transparency. Release the files, redact the name of the survivors, and let's have accountability for everybody who was involved with this predator.
I wonder if the reason Clay Higgins, or whatever the fuck that Louisiana idiot's name was, is upset with this version of the bill isn't because he's concerned about protecting the victims, but rather associates who are not legally implicated. He's out there repping for the people who haven't technically done anything illegal, but still look really fucking sus by being, like, for instance, just today, didn't Larry Summers step down from like every single public venture that he has? Former Harvard president Larry Summers, friend of Epstein, didn't he just today, he did like a ukulele apology? He was like, I'd like to hold space for the victims and take time to reflect on the mistakes I've made, or some shit like that.
So accountability, and you say they are still suffering because it's being used as a political football. I want to play for you.
He's still going to be teaching in Harvard? Really? So he's dropping every professional obligation except for the one that allows him to spend time around young people. Okay. As long as he's consistent.
How the president said he would handle it if this bill does reach his desk. Listen.
I'm all for it. You know, we've already given 50,000 pages. You do know that. They can do whatever they want. We'll give them everything. Sure, I would.
Me when I'm happy about this outcome.
Let the Senate look at it. Let anybody look at it. But don't talk about it too much because, honestly, I don't want to take it away from us.
But don't talk about it too much because I don't want it to take away from us. And what struck me there is because of what you were saying before. The survivors feel like they're being dragged through a political morass right now.
I mean, look, does anyone really think that Donald Trump cares about sexual assault victims? This is a man that a jury found liable for sexual assault a few years ago. He said very recently that the release of the files was a Democratic hoax and a hostile act. He tried to get a congresswoman to flip. That didn't work. If Donald Trump really cared and really wanted the files released, he could order that on his own without Congress. But he's continuing to play political games, and the trauma of the victims continues.
With the revelations, and I use
it is true. I really don't understand how, like, if he's going down the path of just accept that these files are going to get released no matter what. There's nothing we can do. We just need to move with it, whatever. If that's the path he's going down, I don't understand why he doesn't just have the DOJ release them. I feel like that would look better optically for him to throw his hands up in the air and go, okay, if you want them so bad. I don't really understand ego. I feel like ego-wise, that would be even more to his benefit, right? Because at least then he'd be taking control of the situation. I do not get it.
That word, not with a capital R, but with what has been revealed in the last week inside the emails there, you've been involved with these cases for a long time. I mean, how much more information do you think there is that will come to light?
Listen, we've been surprised each time there has been a release. I mean, Epstein is now speaking from the grave and pointing a finger at Donald Trump, saying in the recent release that Trump spent time alone with one of the victims for hours, that Jeffrey Epstein could finish Donald Trump, take him down. In one of the tapes, Epstein said that he was Donald Trump's best friend for 10 years. So these are really striking revelations. We can only imagine what's going to come next. But instead of the drip, drip, drip of the release of documents that continues to re-traumatize.
You think it would be different if it were all out at once. Why?
The bank that was found to have been complicit. But they can't move on every time they.
This isn't about scoring political points. This is about living.
Maybe it dies in the Senate? Nah. Not going to die in the Senate. Oh, yeah, Larry Summers. Hold on. It is pretty funny.
Tonight, Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren, a former Harvard professor herself, is calling on the school to cut ties with the former university president and current faculty member Larry Summers. That's because Senator Warren says that Summers cannot be trusted, that's her quote, after new details emerged regarding his close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. All of this revealed in last week's release of Epstein's private emails. Larry Summers served as Bill Clinton's Treasury Secretary, and in Barack Obama's administration, he was the director of the National Economic Council. These new emails revealed comments that Summers made as he also sought out dating advice from Jeffrey Epstein.
I keep telling you, the phrenology truthers keep getting proven correct time and time again. Being evil makes you disfigured.
That includes the morning of March 17th, 2019. Let's see these emails here where Summers and Epstein were exchanging multiple emails debating Summers and whether or not he should send a note to a romantic interest. Epstein argued to Summers that it would be, quote, bad form. Summers wrote back, quote, why bad form? Supposed to be face to face? To which Epstein replied, you care very much for this person. You might want to demonstrate that. A note does the very opposite. Now, the reason that exchange is notable and that we're pointing it out is because of when it happened. It was just 4 months before that exchange that the Miami Herald had published an exhaustive investigation detailing Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of underage girls. They continued to communicate, though, for the next several months. That includes on July 5th, 2019, when Larry
Trump recently ordered DOJ to open investigation into Clinton's involvement with Epstein. He'll just say he can't release them during an open investigation that never closes. I just don't think that's the play, because that doesn't make any sense. If so, why wouldn't he say that already? Like, again, this is all a battle for PR. What do you think it's going to look like when it reaches him and he signs yes in it, but then says, oh, you'll get the information after this, due date pending investigation on the Clintons that I just ordered right as things were heating up, And that would just make people more angry at him. There's no way out for him. There's no way out. There's no way out for him on this. There's no like epic play. I don't know why. Sometimes it feels like you guys are searching for a move for them. You know what I mean? You're taking over their seat in the chess game. Okay. You know what I think that is? Failure mindset. You're losers. Okay. You're being given a golden opportunity. Like this is literally the best lineup, the best shot we've had in a long time. Okay. And everyone's like, well, what if actually we're the fools? And no, shut up, man. Confidence is how you seize the day. Tomorrow, okay? If you want to seize the future, all right? You need to plant your feet firmly in the ground and take advantage of the opportunities as they come to you. But always on the left, I see people that are full of doubt, self-doubt. Oh, we have it wrong. The powers that be are greater than we imagine them to be. Shut up. The MAGA movement is literally retarded. And they took over the entire government. The confidence gets you so much farther in life. Okay? This is what you fucking former gifted kids who couldn't hack it in college should have learned. Confidence, self-assuredness, these things carry you way the fuck farther than any technical competence. All right?
Sent Jeffrey Epstein an update from his vacation on Cape Cod. The next day, July 6, 2019, when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested for sex trafficking crimes. Now tonight, Larry Summers told CNN in a statement that he is going to continue to teach at Harvard, but he will be stepping back from his other public commitments, saying in a statement that he takes full responsibility for the misguided...
Well, Teflon Don has done a great job of avoiding all consequences so far. Sure, and Adolf Hitler dodged a bunch of assassination attempts, and eventually he ended up killing himself, You can't believe in your opponent's invulnerability just because he's been lucky or, like, he's mastered, like, drunken jujitsu, and he's been dodging the fucking hits, okay? You can't... Listen, okay? You're up against a champ, all right? Two-time president. Who knows how many times pedophile, all right? Yeah, Trump's a slugger. He's a tough guy. But if you ever believe you can't beat him, then you're right.
Decision to continue communicating with Mr. Epstein. My political sources tonight are Democratic strategist Alencia Johnson and Republican strategist David Urban. And obviously, it's worth noting, Alencia, that Senator Warren and Larry Summers have clashed before in the past over policy issues and whatnot. But her saying, this is someone who is very involved in Democratic politics, was reportedly going to be very involved in them doing a version of Project 2025 for Democrats. She's saying that the school needs to cut ties with him entirely. Do you agree with her?
I absolutely do agree with her, and not just because I worked for her.
Because they don't care, lol, his base will believe anything he says. And yet, his base's support for him on the Epstein issue is below 50%. So clearly life isn't that simple. Nobody's invulnerable. There has never, ever in all of human history been a leader so charismatic and powerful that they were not, at some point, undone, or at least capable of being undone by something, okay? All I'm saying is, you guys would have never had the stones to have stabbed Julius Caesar. No, sir. You would have been up there in the nosebleed seats of the Senate, tweedling your fingers like this. Ooh, he's gonna parry. He's gonna parry, legendary warrior. There's no way this works. And then you just watch there from the sidelines while 50 people fucking perforate him. You're never gonna be a part of history like this.
In her presidential primary, but because, as you explained, the timing of this, it's one thing if Larry Summers was communicating with Jeffrey Epstein before the big investigation from the Miami Herald, but it's another, and he said he didn't know about it because there have been instances of that, right? Someone is charged for an egregious crime and people around him don't know anything about it. But this was very public. It was all over our national news. People in politics were paying attention to it and deep diving because of his ties to a lot of political figures. And so it is problematic that he remained...
Bosh, nobody knows the names of his stabbers, though. That was for their sake. You know that, right? Like they knew he'd gone mad. If the names of Julius Caesar's assassins were like broadly known to everyone in the empire, that probably would have been bad for them, right? I don't know. Feel like for a guy like me, I'd be keeping the hood up while I'm stabbing Julius Caesar. Yeah, Brutus got the short end of the stick by virtue of getting named. Everyone else is out there with like a balaclava, you know, like a balatoga, right? They're tying the sheet around the face. They're going for it.
In contact with him, and we don't see any evidence of him even acknowledging how wrong Jeffrey Epstein was. And so
yeah.
I agree with Senator Warren, because if we think about his involvement not only in Democratic policies, politics, he is also a teacher at Harvard. And there are probably young women in his class. And I would be concerned about, you know, whether or not he has the integrity to continue to be in those positions. I'm not going to sit here and say anything's going to happen.
In fairness, probably like at least 20% of Ivy League professors are pedophiles, right? Like a huge number of the people who teach at Harvard, Oxford, Columbia, whatever, you know, are freak deep state, like Epstein affiliated psychopaths, directly benefit from arms sales to Israel. Like there are so many people out there in that, like, yeah, it's all big power stuff. They're literally given like a seat at the table to reward them for their loyalty to the empire. Remember, I found out live on stream that Guaido, the would-be coup coup leader in Venezuela from that time we tried to, replace Maduro, is like a fucking lecturer on economics or something. Like they just gave him that position, like economic freedom or something. You know, they just gave him that position. Makes a lot of money doing it too. We've got to reward him for his loyalty somehow.
To his students, but it is concerning that you would be okay with someone who has these accusations and you still continue to be involved in a teaching capacity.
So you think what he's doing tonight doesn't go far enough, because he says he is still going to be teaching?
I don't think it goes far enough. I don't think we should continue to reward bad
the
behavior,
Adam Smith
even
Center
when
for
you're
Economic Freedom.
trying to turn a blind eye to maintain a position of power.
Yeah, and David Urban, this all comes as we're seeing the ramifications of these emails far and wide. I mean, obviously, Stacey Plaskett, another Democrat, was also texting with Jeffrey Epstein during the Michael Cohen hearing. Apparently, a spokesperson for her confirmed that she was getting text messages from him that influenced her questioning, it appears. But David, this is also coming as for Republicans, for your party.
God, this guy's got a face,
There is a huge breakup underway between Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, in part.
He looks like somebody squared Hank Schrader. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you amplified his Schraderity.
She's criticized how they've handled the Jeffrey Epstein saga and this entire back and forth over the discharge petition. She was one of those 4 votes that came out initially and voted for this. When the president...
He does look like the Son I Am Disappoint meme. Fuck, that's a deep cut. I feel like Son I Am Disappoint would make a great return in this era of like everything being a soy jack. As a contrast, you know, like now, so all of the Wojaks lost except for the soy jacks. Now everything is just a variant of the soy jacks, right? Like that was the winning breed. So I feel like you need, like, you have these bottlenecks evolutionarily. The Son I Am Disappoint has to come back.
Saying that she's a traitor and Marjorie Taylor Greene, as he called her. What do you make of that? Do you think that's all right, or do you think that's too far?
Yeah, it's too far, obviously. Let me just say this. I don't think I've ever said these words before. I agree with Senator Warren, right? Like, I agree with Senator Warren and Alicia. I think that Larry Summers has to go. That not only was it his judgment very bad there, but this was a young woman who was a mentee. He was texting or emailing back and forth with Epstein about. And moreover, her father was a member of the Chinese Communist Party, so most likely he was getting played as an asset during this whole thing. So it's only the tip of the iceberg with the Larry Summers issue. But yeah, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene, like her, don't like her, love her, hate her. She campaigned for Donald Trump when very few...
Sometimes I miss Velociraptor. I feel like, listen, okay, the most educated and progressive generation in American history thus far has been the millennials. I feel like the unavoidable conclusion we have to draw from this is that I Ken Has Cheeseburger and the Advice Animals are objectively better arbiters of morality than the Wojak comics. If the Wojak comics are defining like Gen Z meme culture, like it's pretty inarguable, right? Like maybe that's the trade-off you have to make. You know, like Velociraptor or whatever else. That stuff just begets a better civilization. You get better people, a better stock. But the Wojak comics, ooh, man, it's funny, but it's moral rot. It decays your soul, you know?
People were. She was out there burning, burning and churning when, after January 6th, and Donald Trump was a lonely soldier. She was a soldier, foot soldier in the Trump war, fighting for him every step and every way. So I think it's a little harsh for him to say what he did about her. Look, I don't necessarily agree with her all the time on this vote. I think, bad news doesn't get better with age. If I had the White House, I'd have released it a long, long time ago and moved on quickly to something different. It's like a bad PR move, it seems to me. I'm not quite sure
David,
who or what they're trying to protect, but it's never getting better.
Well, that's what, I mean, I was talking to people who are allies of Trump's and White House officials who were saying they kind of did this to themselves because they could have just come out and supported this from the beginning instead of, I mean, they brought Lauren Boebert into this Situation Room to try to get her to change her mind last week. So
I really don't think they have a plan. Anyway, they're just discussing stuff that's a little bit out of date now. Hold on. Epstein follow up. That's not how you spell follow up. I forgot the W there. Only time that's ever happened. Am I right, folks? Whoo! All right. There's tons of shit to talk about involving Trump and Epstein, but we do need a slight buffer. Slight buffer. Go! It's the most relevant figure in the entire online right. Why is this so small?
Has sent $25. My wife and I found out we have a third kid on the way. We plan on homeschooling, and as opposed to learning what interests us, we need to study what our kids will learn. What subjects and sources and topics would you want your kids to learn about? Oh my gosh. Maddie every sent $20. fucking night. Hey Nick, new fan here. I'm a nursing student and part of the training.
What, math, idiot, history? What subject should I teach my kids? Hey, idiot, what do you think? Holocaust class? What the fuck do you think?
Uh...
Is that really a question? Are you helpless? Are you a helpless numbskull, huh? What is with the nincompoopery? To borrow a phrase from Dinesh D'Souza, hey Nick, what should I teach my kids in homeschool? What the fuck do you think, stupid? What the fuck do you think? First of all, am I an education professional? No. So what special insight? What do you think you should teach your kids? Just name.
He really is stuck with his audience, isn't he? The contempt he has for his audience is so relatable to me, especially with this specific question. Sometimes the questions you guys pitch me, my audience could never be as retarded as his audience. He deserves it. Oh, I mean, sure, he cultivated, but man, is he stuck with them. He is so much smarter than, you can tell the difference, right? Candace Owens, just a grifter. Literally, like, just whatever makes the money. And then one day she's just going to fucking disappear. Steven Crowder is as stupid and malevolent as the average member of his audience. Nick is obviously so much smarter than his audience, and it's incredibly fucking funny. I can't ever get that mad at his bits because like 90% of the rhetorical through line, the way he presents his arguments is framed in this like dripping contempt for the people watching him, But he's stuck with them. He's trapped in a hell of his own making. I can't get enough of it. It's fucking phenomenal.
A few. Anybody, shout them out if you can.
I'm telling you, man, there is a studio loft in Astoria waiting for this guy. One of these days, he's gonna get. Holy shit! I could have real conversations with real people and not have everything framed through like I don't know, a soy jack VHS little dark age meme edit style understanding of the world with 80 IQ individuals who think they share my political goals. I could just talk to normal people.
Science, math, reading. You think some of that'd be good? Okay. How about something like
history? He
does
sound like Foamy the Squirrel.
Music? What do you think, dumbass? Or what do you think we should be teaching them? Holocaust denial and race science? Seriously. How about the alphabet, reading, math, addition, subtraction? We have a third kid that is yet to be born. When he turns 6, what should we teach him? I don't know, how to read? That's a good start. Shit.
Haters will say this is edited. True. God, that's fucking funny. I'm sorry. Shut the fuck up. What is this?
A court in Bangladesh is delivering a verdict in the trial of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She's facing charges of crimes against humanity. Security forces
Why the fuck is this on my tabs? What happened here? I don't know shit about this.
killed hundreds of people during a student-led uprising in July and August last year. Hasina is accused to have ordered the shootings. The protest.
She's been sentenced to death? That's cool. That's fine. Whatever. I don't care. I didn't know women could do crimes. In this era, wokeness would try to convince you otherwise. But my friend, it's true. Wake up. Stay woke. She had like 1,500 student protesters executed, but she's hiding in India, so she's not going to be executed. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess what matters is that everyone involved had a good time. Hold on. This one's just for me before we get back to the Epstein stuff.
What are you sorting for? I mean, I can see some of these are very...
It's 2 minutes, suck it up.
...heavily crimped. Some of these are very... I mean, that stuff looks like a kind of Afghan hound over the end there.
With over 60 breeds of sheep in Great Britain,
yep,
more than any other country in the world, the diversity of wool is vast.
Well, just talk me through the process. How would you grade this fleece?
First of all, a fleece would have to be put into one of the 6 types, and you can see all the breeds underneath each type.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that particular fleece has to go in there because it says that breed.
Okay.
Then you're looking for 3 overriding factors which greatly affect you, the end user.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grey fibres within the fleece.
Yeah.
A cotty or matted fleece, so it's self-matted.
Yeah.
And then that natural discoloration that we saw over there.
Yeah.
Then we want to know whether it's a first shear or a second and subsequent shears.
Okay.
So the first ever shear will have a certain amount of lamb's wool in the fibre,
right,
which means it's a finer micron.
Yeah, and that fetches a slightly higher price?
Slightly higher price.
Yeah.
And also because it's had 15 months growth compared to a second shear, because when a lamb's born in March it's short the June after, it has a longer staple. So we're not uniforming the staple length if we put hogs and wethers together.
Right, okay.
And then after that we want to know whether a fleece is a number 1 or a number 2. So a number 1 would be a strong...
It's a reason some of the best wool in the world comes from England, Scotland, you know. One of the sweaters I got recently is Scottish, from Howland. Feels really, really nice. It's so warm.
Fibre.
Yeah.
That doesn't break in the staple. Yeah. Good colour. And uniformity. And uniformity comes with the staple lengths and widths being quite uniform throughout most of the fleece. You don't get a perfectly uniform fleece because of the breech and the belly, but for the most part, is it uniformed?
Right.
And number 2 then would be just quite the opposite. Has it got a little bit of discoloration in there, or a weak staple?
Yeah. But obviously there are uses for all of these materials, and they all go. So they will go to different.
Even the sweeps on the floor.
Yeah.
Even the sweeps on the floor. Nothing gets wasted.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on merino wool? Listen, my only hot wool take is this. I'm sick and tired of cashmere. Yeah, I get it. It's soft, but it's so fragile, you know? Even if you get, like no matter what you get in cashmere, you have to treat it so delicately and it will fall apart. If you're wearing wool, I think it should be like a sturdy, thick yarn, heavy gauge knit. And you can you're not wearing that against bare skin. You wear a shirt and then you wear the sweater over it, and that shit will last forever, you know? Cashmere is just irritatingly fragile to me, you know? Oh, that's quite pretty. It looks really good. Anyway, that was my fun. Is it itchy? The heavier gauge the wool, the more durable the wool, the more scratchy on average. Though, if you're paying top dollar, you can get wool that is both durable and quite soft. So, whatever. Before we get back to Epstein, have you talked about Texas redistricting? Buddy, my friend, my buddy, my pal. Have I got good news for you? Okay, what the fuck is going on over here? So, the Texas redistricting effort has been stopped by a judge? Hello? Do you get used to the itching? You shouldn't be wearing a heavy wool sweater against your bare skin. You don't wear a sweater over a t-shirt. You wear it over a shirt, or a long sleeve shirt at the very least, like a pullover. A federal court on Tuesday blocked Texas from using a redrawn U.S. House map that touched off a nationwide redistricting battle. What? Meant to pick up 5 additional seats. So what's the public perception of this case is that it's about politics. To be sure, politics played a role in drawing the 2025 map, but it was much more than just politics. Substantial evidence showed Texas racially gerrymandered the 2025 map. This is almost certainly getting appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court is almost certainly going to overturn it. There's no way this stands with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has basically been, like, approving racial discrimination lately. Yes. 6-3 ruling on the shadow docket incoming. Maybe 9-0 if it's procedural enough. Do you think the California one will be challenged as well? No, it can't be challenged for the same reasons, right? The proposed map in California is also obviously political, but it's not really racially biased. That's the problem. That's the difference. Like, if you have specific laws against racial bias in districting, that disfavors Republicans more than Democrats because whites are the majority in this country. And if you are districting a state to favor Democrat votes, you're usually not doing it in a way that disproportionately affects a given racial group because there are still lots of white people in the largely blue Democrat cities, right? So, whereas in Republican states, if you're trying to district things in favor of Republicans, you usually have to, like, really pack Black and Latino voters in. Well, mostly Black voters, I guess, because Latin voters have been a little more feisty with it, a little more spicy, as they might like to say. I've heard Latin people really like it when white people refer to everything they do as spicy. Does a federal court even have jurisprudence to take this case? Sure, yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%. If they feel that a redistricting effort is violating federal law. That being said, it's possible this map just flags problems in a way the California map doesn't, but I still think the Supreme Court is going to overturn this. Three other GOP states have abandoned their own redistricting proposals since the Dem sweep 2 weeks ago over fear of a midterm dummy member blowout, most recently in Indiana, even after Trump demanded they go through. Yeah. It's also possible that this effort to redistrict Texas wouldn't even get the outcomes they want, right? Like, in a state like Texas, you have to stretch your Republican majority pretty thin. Keep in mind, Texas is a purple state. No matter what they try to tell you, it is. The only reason it operated as a red state in 2024 is because the Latin vote shifted so much to Trump, you know, relatively. There are plenty of Democrats in Texas. Is it? Yeah. 2020 presidential election, Texas. I know 2020 is just one option to go through, but, like, even after extremely partisan efforts to suppress the votes of Democrats, like the closing of polling places, or voting booths that would have served hundreds of thousands of largely Black Democrats in Texas, it was still less than a 6-point difference. This is not a deep red state. Not a deep red state at all. I got the sniffles, man. It just looks like it with those maps. Yeah, well, land doesn't vote. What's important to remember is that this whole area that I'm circling with my mouse right here has 5 people in it. And these 2 blue dots right here have like 12 million people in them. Not really exaggerating. That's basically that's basically true. More people voted Dem in Texas than in New York in 2024. Yep. Yes, sir. Well, again, the Supreme Court is probably going to overturn this. But Texas keeping this gerrymander map might actually be worse for the GOP in midterms because, like, a lot of the new districts they're creating are like, Republican +8 based on the 2024 split. So if there was a big Dem wave in 2026, it's possible that all of these gerrymandered districts just end up getting swept up by Democrats anyway. R+6? +6 is not a lot. The new red districts are made that are reliant on the assumption the Latino vote sticks with Trump. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good for them. That's not good for them. Are you sure? Appeals court ruling the redistricting was done due to a letter from Trump's DOJ could throw a wrench in this? Well, the contention is not that this was politically motivated. The contention is that it's racially prejudiced, right? Which is why this works against Texas but wouldn't work in California. You should watch Let's Talk Elections. He talks about this stuff all the time. I'm afraid I can't. I'm midway through chapter 6 of watching Joseph Anderson play Umineko, okay? Just a few hundred more hours and I'll finally be through. Unfortunately, like, unironically, my political knowledge, the extent to which I keep up in the news, has been lagging because I've had like 150 hours of visual novel to get through. And now I found that just a couple of days ago, he started playing Pathologic. Fuck! I'm never learning anything about politics again. All the podcasts I listen to on like history and urban planning and stuff, that shit's it's fucking gone, man. The fastest path to being a learned person is to be very boring and not have any interests. You also have to watch his E33 playthrough? No, I don't. I'm doing that. Anyway, good news is good news, folks. Are there any videos out on this? How recently did this article come out? 11:14 PST, an hour and 20 minutes ago. An hour 20 minutes ago. Hold on 1 second. Texas redistricting. I just want to see if there's an element to this. Bloomberg Television's got it.
Decision, one that, redhead crossing the Bloomberg terminal, one that could have implications for the 2026 midterm elections as we gear up for those. I'm curious, is this the end or does this go to the Supreme Court next?
I mean, I would imagine that this will definitely be appealed and could likely end up at the Supreme Court. I mean, first of all, one of the most conservative appeals court is right near us. That is the that's the appellate division in Louisiana. So it could very easily end up there. Obviously, I think this has major implications. When you look at other states, you have California that is talking about redistricting. You have other states that are discussing it as well. This is something that will be paid attention to by the United States of America for sure. Major implications for the midterm elections.
Yeah, you can kind of see where the vulnerabilities are, right? Some of these like larger districts, they're stretching out from the Dallas, Houston, Austin areas, San Antonio. They're kind of relying on the Latin vote not flipping a bunch.
Yeah, it's just kind of fascinating because it does make us think.
Yeah, look at how few people live up here, man. 2 districts for this entire goddamn. Is it still a panhandle if it's vertical? Does a panhandle have to be horizontal? What would ladle handle?
Kind of what's next. We did talk about, you mentioned California, and earlier this month, California voters, Julie, as you know, overwhelmingly approved new congressional lines that could net Democrats up to 5 more seats in next year's House election. So is it tit for tat? Indeed, what happened in Texas is going to happen in California, or not necessarily?
Well, I certainly think so far we have seen this. I mean, Gavin Newsom certainly said we are going to fight fire with fire here. That's what he said, referring to his own state. So, of course, I think people will definitely be paying attention to how this is handled in the courts in Texas. I mean, it's fairly unusual to see redistricting at this time of the year. Generally, you see it every 10 years after there is a census report. So this is something you obviously...
Houston Public Media. Is this an actual public channel? Hello, Houston.
And developing story today about the maps, the newest
Service of the University of Houston. That's delightful. That's absolutely delightful. Look at that.
We have been following a breaking and developing story today about the maps, the newest congressional map that had been decided upon, but it turns out it's not going to happen. Rejoining us now is politics and government reporter Andrew Schneider. Just to give us a quick recap on what we've been talking about today, and then we have a very special guest joining us.
Right. Houston and San Antonio, the best parts of Texas. What about Austin?
So the short version is that the three-judge panel in El Paso issued an injunction blocking the 2025 redistricting maps from taking effect in time.
Man, fuck us. You guys really think Houston is better than Austin? Okay, whatever.
2026 election. This is not a final ruling. This is an injunction, which basically means that the maps cannot go forward for the next congressional election, the midterms. The decision was based largely on the premise that the legislature had acted in response to the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department in response to pressure from President Trump to try and redraw several congressional districts on what they called racial gerrymandering lines.
Now, one of the
nice. Really, though, this is good news. I still think that we're moving up to some really good momentum for 2026, but it's still a whole year out, you know? A whole year out. Wow, how many typos in there, huh? How many typos in there? That's crazy. Austin is a better city to live in. Houston's a better city to visit. Okay, okay. Dems are also set to add 4 seats in Virginia and reduce the GOP to just 1 seat in the state. God willing. Well, with what they're doing right now in Charlotte, you know, I imagine they're going to keep some pretty heavy numbers out there. Hold on, we'll get to that next. So speaking of Charlotte, what they got going on over there. What about Dallas? Meh. Update Chrome? Meh. I live in Charlotte? Meh. 21,000 kids not showing up to school is wild. No kidding. ICE has been conducting operations, which is the polite way of saying fucking stuff up in the area. Big old walkout from their students. 21,000 students across 185 schools organizing a like a mass walkout. You know, that doesn't happen that often these days because of, I mean, everyone's so alienated. Nobody believes in anything. Border Patrol agents were seen in Charlotte over the past few days as part of the immigration operation Charlotte's Web. You think they chose Charlotte just because they could call it that? Genuine question. I'm not doing a bit there. I think there's a real possibility that's the answer. Ay, ay, ay. Dude, I'm so sniffly, I'm going to die.
Tension mounting in Charlotte as Border Patrol surges in. Residents shouting down federal agents. Other voices kept to a whisper as officers led 2 handcuffed men out of an apartment complex and into an unmarked van. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino says agents arrested 81 people in about 5 hours Saturday, part of what they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web. At Spanish Mass this morning, Pastor Alejandro Montes told us hundreds in his congregation chose to stay home.
Not to Hitler Olympics or whatever else, but kind of crazy how little ICE can do, right? 81 people in 5 hours, and a lot of those people are just going to be released because they're just randomly arresting Hispanics, I bet you. You know, immigration raids used to be a lot more targeted. Like ICE would gather intel and then do an organized raid on a big facility and get a lot of people at once. But ICE is so uncoordinated and nobody wants to work with them now that they're literally resorting to just driving through neighborhoods picking up people. There's no cohesion, no organization. Don't forget that big Black Hawk helicopter operation they did in Chicago. They didn't press charges on any of the people they arrested, you know? They're not getting anyone. Nothing's happening. Literally Gestapo squad? No, because the Gestapo would actually arrest and then kill people. Like, don't get me wrong, ICE is arresting people and people are getting deported, but it's slowed down to an incredibly sluggish pace because it actually, again, it keeps fucking happening. It turns out that doing like mass state power stuff actually requires a lot of coordination. It requires a lot of bureaucratic competence.
Their services half empty. What are you hearing from your community today?
Well, I know we have been receiving a lot of text messages and talking with people. There's a lot of people in fears right now. They're scared about to go out and because the situation right now. And yeah, it has been tough. It has been rough this weekend.
Bovino says some of the dozens arrested.
This would actually be illiberal fascism. You know, liberal fascism would imply that they're capable of meeting the bureaucratic expectations that a fascist government still needs to meet.
It include violent criminals, convicted drunk drivers, and people with removal orders. City statistics show crime has fallen in Charlotte this year. Violent crime down 20% across the board. Charlotte leaders say they have public safety handled.
What we hope is that the Border Patrol will see that the city of Charlotte is a safe city.
Quit being a pussy.
There's nothing to see here. There's no reason to be here.
Urging calm and peaceful protest with no indication of how long Operation Charlotte's Web will last.
Ryan joins us now from Charlotte. And Ryan, do we have any more of a sense on what this immigration crackdown will look like during this week ahead?
Well, the mayor pro tem tells us they don't have any insight into what the plan...
I really do fucking hate that rhetoric, man. You have to be delusional to think that ICE is actually being motivated by a belief that they're cleaning up these cities. Jesus Christ. Imagine being the mayor of a German town and you're telling the Gestapo, like, I hope when you arrive here, you'll see that our Jews get along well in our environment. And actually everything here is peaceful between Jews and Gentiles. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Here is, but one big question on a lot of people's minds, what does school look like tomorrow morning? The Charlotte Mecklenburg School District is telling parents they plan to operate as normal and have not found
in Germany,
any
Hitler
indication.
consolidated all municipal police under his direct control. Unironically, thank fucking God, America is such a federalized nightmare that it's logistically impossible for that to happen, legally and logistically. Even if, Chancellor Trump completely dispelled with the law, there is absolutely no way to do that. There's no way any government could handle that. The federal government is overworked with its personnel enough as it is. Trying to incorporate that kind of power structure, no way.
That DHS is planning to enforce immigration law on their properties. Hallie.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch
NBC News app. What do you take me for, a fucking rube?
This morning, rising tensions in Charlotte amid Border Patrol's surge.
I have the right to record.
Federal agents arresting dozens over the weekend in a surge they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web. Meeting defiance in the streets as residents confront masked officers. The Department of Homeland Security says the mission is about public safety, blaming sanctuary policies for releasing
people. It really is a double-edged sword, you know? It's the beauty and the terror of the American experiment. This country is impossible to control, impossible to wrangle. It's a gigantic blood-starved beast that is like a logistical nightmare to do anything with. But at the same time, it genuinely does make us really, really, really resistant to, at least in a procedural sense, authoritarian takeovers. Like, there's so much of the federalism, so much of the, like, layered, segmented, this guy has power over this, and here are all the legal stopgaps, and this massive bureaucracy fucking with everything, you know? It makes it really difficult to just completely take everything over. It's a good thing and a bad thing, right? It's like how the American libertarian independent spirit has led to a lot of really fucked up bad politics in this country, but at the same time, it's probably a good thing that the people most susceptible to an authoritarian mindset in this country are also people who aesthetically value the idea of the government not interfering in your lives. And then your police just willingly work with ICE, but they don't. In municipalities that have forbidden them from doing so, they don't. And oftentimes they don't anyway, because, like, police departments usually don't keep track of that information anyway. It's not their prerogative. you're doing the "it can't happen here" bit. No, I'm not. Talking about the socioeconomics and culture of a country and the ways in which it's more or less susceptible to authoritarian takeover is not saying it can't happen here. Don't be stupid. Don't be bad faith. No, I hate it when people... Why are you... I'm trying to introduce nuance. There's a legitimate argument to be made for the culture of America having influence over, in some respects negative, in some respects positive, the extent to which our country can go completely authoritarian. Examining those differences doesn't mean you're saying it can't happen here. I've spent the past several years saying it's happening here.
On immigration detainers. Border Patrol Commander Greg Bavino said among those arrested are violent criminals and people with removal orders. North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein pushing back Sunday night.
This is not making us...
Arguably, there are countries with more bureaucratic culture like Japan and Germany, both of which have experienced fascism. That's not the point I'm making. If anything, it proves the point that I'm making. Japan and Germany were nowhere near as federalized as America. Like, they're much more regimented. America isn't regimented, you know? It's bureaucratic in the sense that it takes a lot of effort to manage everything, but not in the sense that there's like a strict hierarchy or chain of command, you know? Like, in America, there are like, on every level, from like law enforcement to judges, to the legislature and everything, there's like 17 chains of command arcing back up to the federal government, and people on the lower rungs have the legal right to tell the people above them to go fuck off. Like, at the end of the day, everything has to be resolved in court, but everything's done through arbitration, you know? The ability for the federal government to control the states and the states to control the cities and so on, it has to be arbitrated in court, you know? It's not a direct kind of authority. It's not like the state can't just tell a city what has to be done. It has to be fought out in court, which stuff like that really slows down the whole, you know, complete takeover thing. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is the fact that our system is disorganized and bloated and inefficient probably saves us a little bit here.
Safer. It's stoking fear and dividing our community.
City data shows violent crime is down 20% in Charlotte this year.
I've heard that.
City leaders say they're in the dark.
Our community members are deeply concerned, and they are filled with fear and anxiety.
Some Hispanic-owned businesses shuttered out of fear, while seats at a Spanish Mass sat empty on Sunday. Pastor Alejandro Montez telling us hundreds of congregants stayed home.
What are you hearing from your community today?
There's a lot of people in fears right now. They're scared about to go out, and because the situation right now, and yeah, it has been tough. It has been rough.
I guess my point is that even though it's not necessarily true, the founding myth in this country and the legal, like the on text, like legal truth of this country is that any random citizen can see a mayor, congressman, senator, Supreme Court judge, or the president walking down on the street and give them the finger and say, fuck you. And that's a legally protected act, right? In Germany and Japan, that was not the case. Not socially or legally. But socially and legally here, not only is that protected, it's also like kind of considered pretty American. You know, that's considered an American virtue to a large extent. I understand it doesn't always work out that way in reality, but it is a relevant cultural force, you know? The social practices that make Americans litter on the side of the highway are probably also the same reason we're belligerent in a way that makes us difficult to control, like directly, you know?
Now, a big question on a lot of parents' minds this morning. What might this mean as kids head back to school? Well, Charlotte-Mecklenburg school districts tell us that they...
Yeah, I want to know more about that. That's a pretty big walkout.
We want to bring you up to speed on the ongoing Border Patrol operations unfolding in Charlotte. Today, those operations will expand to North Carolina's capital city. The mayor of Raleigh confirming the news last night. Back in Charlotte, more protests will take place across
Bosch, why is legislation necessary in order to release the Epstein files? It's not. Trump could order the Department of Justice to release them anytime he wants.
City today, including at several schools. More on that in just a moment. So far, we know that Border Patrol have arrested more than 130 people. Agents say they include violent offenders, convicted drunk drivers, and those already under removal orders. Now, this morning, classrooms across Charlotte...
Hate, by the way, that local media just reports what ICE says as gospel, and they never follow it up with, but no evidence has been supplied. Like, in spite of the fact that we know they've lied nonstop every time they've conducted immigration raids, here's what they're saying about the people they're arresting, but they never say it.
Feeling the impacts of this operation.
CMS facing a wave of absences as many parents are fearful of dropping their kids off at school. WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards now live at East Mecklenburg High School explaining how the tension in local neighborhoods is spilling there into the classroom and what students are doing about it. Destiny?
Yeah, CMS is reporting a sharp drop in attendance to start off the week, with thousands of students absent yesterday as Border Patrol.
Stop watching corporate news, but that's where you learn all the good stuff. For the most part, Americans get their information through corporate news or stuff downwind of corporate news. Even independent news, like arguably I am to some extent, I still get my information from, you know, the Associated Press. I'm not in the White House press room, right? Like you need to, that's where the information comes downstream of. But you need the media literacy to be able to understand stuff like this, right? For example, if we weren't watching Corpo Slop, how would we know intimately within our hearts, reflexively, how complicit local media is to ICE, right? If all you did was watch, you know, secondhand news sources with no reference to the original, you'd hear people say it, sure, but now you get to see live. Yeah, they really do just repeat whatever ICE tells them. ICE could say whatever the fuck they want, and media will just guzzle it up. They won't even question it, you know? You have to understand it.
Operations continue, and at the same time, there are students that are planning walkouts to protest what's going on in their communities. Now, CMS says about 20,935 students missed school on Monday. That's 15% of the district. The absences vary across all 185 schools, but community groups working inside CMS say they noticed a significant drop. The Latin American Coalition, which mentors students at Geringer High, says only one student showed up to their session yesterday. They add that many families are requesting assignments to be posted online while children stay home for now. And at schools like East Meck and Independence High, students who do show up are walking out in protest.
It's stressful seeing my mom because like she struggles with bills already going to work. I mean, even without her going to work, she's struggling even more.
Little kids losing their parents by ICE and getting taken, seeing them cry. And that, like, it breaks my heart seeing them like that.
And students will continue to make their voices heard today with walkouts planned here at East Mecklenburg.
Hold on, there's some more community reactions.
Our team has been tracking sightings and hearing from the community all.
Like to seeing somebody yanked out of their car halfway out, you know, being manhandled like that.
Pedro Zergabon. I said this before, but it's a pretty big indictment of ICE's ability to maintain these raids, that they've gone from high-profile invasions of cities like Chicago and Los Angeles to, yeah, we're in the suburbs outside of Charlotte, you know? Yeah, we got 80 people today. Oh, wow, 80. Well, you're well on your way to 20 million, sir, you know? They have really dropped off in profile. It also makes me wonder how much money that they actually have left. They've probably been overspending. Given how incompetent this administration has been in every other respect, they've already diverted funds to give ICE those super checks. Eventually, they're going to, like, actually meet their budgetary limit. Didn't they just get a huge boost? I have a feeling a lot of that shit's getting siphoned off, you know? We're not going to really know how much money's been directed towards the DHS, probably until this administration's over, but I have a feeling that they're going to run out of money sooner than they expect to. Aren't they using tariff money to fund this shit? We don't really know what's being done with the tariff money in a lot of cases. We don't really know. My understanding is that it's not... For one, it's not as much as they say it is. And for two, I don't think in a lot of cases that money is actually going into a usable account. You know? Again, it's the difference between the government destroying money versus the government just holding a bank account. I'm pretty sure that they don't have they don't have the mechanism to easily transfer money from whatever, you know, pot of gold they get on tariffs to direct that into the DHS.
Achu is one of many witnesses to the incident early Sunday afternoon. He says it's something he's witnessed on social media, never thinking he'd see it with his own eyes.
They were treating him like less than an animal, like, you know, because you would treat a dog with more, you know, compassion than that.
On r/Charlotte, there are posts claiming a local car dealership gave ICE 50 SUVs for free. That's about what I would expect from a car dealership. Also, with the economy being as bad as it is, right now my understanding is that car dealerships are having a really rough time moving new inventory. Like, there are still 2024 models sitting on the lot, and the 2025 models just finally finished filling things out. Now the 2026 models are bearing down the hill, and they're like, fuck, no one's buying, nobody's willing to indebt themselves for 90 months to purchase a brand new $63,000 heated seat mega SUV that runs over 8 toddlers a minute, you know? Are American car dealers kulaks? Or, sorry, are car dealers American kulaks? Yes.
Even one that's acting aggressively, but this guy was acting very calm. He's a human.
Along Milton Road, the community seeing the impacts firsthand, watching a man be torn away from not only his vehicle, but family.
They're like proud to use take people away from their families, and this is not good because, as I said, we do a lot of stuff that they don't want to do.
Giancarlos Hernandez understands that criminals should be arrested, but questions if only criminals are being detained.
They're just working. You know, we immigrants do a lot of work that people from here don't want to do. We do a lot of hard work that they don't want to do. They just take people whoever they find.
Pastor Alejandro Montes of Casa Viva Church says his congregation shares the fears of what could happen to them.
And our church statement, that's we share with the congregation, is number one, faith and wisdom.
Nice framing, news media lol. Yeah, it's pretty fucking disgraceful. Like, this is the line people accept, you know? Oh, they're just here to work. Oh, like, not we're being tyrannized by a bunch of fascist brown shirts or whatever. They can only ever frame it in terms of sympathy. Even if I was completely unsympathetic to immigrants or whatever, even if I hated immigrants, ICE is objectively bad for America. You could be racist and xenophobic, but if you were somehow, in addition to those two things, also intelligent, a rough call, I know, but theoretically possible, you would still know that ICE is bad for America. They're thugs. They're low IQ, violent, dipshit, degenerate, fucking white nationalist militia brown shirt thugs running around lawlessly, doing whatever the fuck they want. They're not accomplishing any goals. They're wasting money. They're wasting everyone's fucking time. And they're procedurally bad. They destroy our ability to, like, fuck, if you care about immigration law in this country and you're some kind of dipshit white supremacist, you know, get all them out or whatever, you would probably hate ICE because you think they're doing a bad job procedurally. Like, fuck, it makes ICE look bad that they're this incompetent. There are a million arguments you can make against ICE. The worst of them is sympathy. People who are sympathetic to immigrants are already sympathetic to immigrants.
We live by faith, but we got a wisdom. If that wisdom just let you decide to stay at home, you will be no one's gonna condemn you because you stayed at home.
Now, as Border Patrol continues through Charlotte, community members are coming together, like Compare Foods. For those who are shopping online, they are offering free grocery deliveries. You'll have to, again, shop online and use that.
Wait, that's actually really nice. ICE is invading our town. Everyone gets free grocery deliveries. That's I don't know. That's pretty sweet, don't you think?
No fee 2025 code. This is to maintain peace throughout that shopping experience, and that's all available now through December 31st. For now.
Man, speaking of shopping, have people been following Pluribus? I'm not going to spoil or whatever. I'm kind of waiting for like the plot of Pluribus to unwind. I want to see like what is the structure of the plot going to be. I'm really interested because, you know, again, it's Vince Gilligan. I don't think he's gonna, you know. We're not here to waste my damn time. I love the setup so far. I'm not spoiling shit. I'm not spoiling shit. No one's spoiling anything. Hello, River. Vince Gilligan would love to see where the plot's going to. Hey, have faith. Motherfuckers will watch a new show created by the guy who made fucking El Camino, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and be like, I feel like my time is being wasted here. Does this guy even know what he's doing? Anyway. While we're talking about Latin people, I'm not quite done with Enton. I wanted to watch this one yesterday, but I couldn't because I spent an hour and 10 minutes talking about birth rates. We didn't have time for it.
We're still sifting through the results from those 2025 elections in New Jersey and Virginia. And one of the big questions that has been asked is, where are Latino voters? A Latino voting shift toward Donald Trump in 2024 helped propel.
No, that's literally how Gilligan made Breaking Bad 2. He makes up plots as he goes and he's good at it. I think that's probably the way to go. You know, that's probably the way to go. It's like running a D&D campaign. You got to find that shit in the work. Don't authors often write books that way too? Like, you don't have the ending planned. You just have a general structure. And then you try to, like, you see where it goes. You see how it feels. Especially because for a TV show, it's a collaborative project, you know? The energy that a given actor brings to the set might change your perception of their character. They might be so popular and influential, you might think, like, oh, more can be done here. There's more charisma to work with here than I thought before, you know? Depends on the author. I'm just saying, you know, I'm just saying. Because to me, there's nothing more lame than when you are watching a show, movie, reading a book, whatever, and you can tell that all of it is building up to a big reveal that you've already kind of got. Like, there's no subtle layering of reveals. There's no, like, brilliant segmenting where it's like, okay, that was revealed, but then what about this? Then what about this? Then what about this? Then what about this? Or whatever. You know what I mean? It's more like you know they're just building up to a big thing, and that's the whole point. It's the whole point, you know? I don't know. They were rewriting Severance because people's theories were too good. Didn't we learn our lesson with Lost? That shit's really lame. If your whole story is about building up to a big mystery, I don't think... Listen, a mystery story shouldn't be about a big final reveal. A mystery story should be about multiple compounding mysteries that you work through over time, and sometimes you half work towards them, and it feels like you maybe have a partial grip in it, but not a full thing. Nothing feels worse than yelling at a character on screen like, dude, the reveal is obvious, and then they don't figure it out. Or like later the reveal is made and you're like, yeah, I know, I figured that out like 3 hours of watch time before. You don't want just one reveal. You want to layer that so you feel like you're... Because what in the real world has one reveal? When in the real world is there like a big complicated mystery and then one piece of information fills it in? Oh, that's what that means. You know? Like, to go back to one of the best movies ever made, Citizen Kane. The whole mystery of Citizen Kane is why he said Rosebud. But that's not really, like, the point. That's just the framing device. The framing device is why he said Rosebud. That's what enables the investigation of his life, right? But it's not the point. You know what I'm talking about? Imagine if they rewrote Citizen Kane so that all of the narrative attention of the movie was set up so that you were actually just watching it to find out why he said Rosebud. And they're giving you little, like, red herrings. And that was the point, right? You have to divert attention. You have to... Whatever, man. I'm just revealed out. I'm just revealed out. I'm just done with reveals, you know? I think mysteries are fine without reveals. I don't think you need reveals. I think that sometimes life is complicated, the world is mysterious and confusing, you navigate difficult situations the best you can, you find out little bits of information that give you a little more room to navigate, explore, find out, learn things about the world and yourself, and maybe sometimes you come to what might be a partial understanding, and that might just be enough to get you through. I'm tired of sitting here waiting for the showrunners to decide that I'm finally ready for the big thing they had planned at the end of season 3, and I'm midway through season 2, and I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it. Sorry, I'm like vague posting about Expedition 33 really fucking hard right now. If the end of Expedition 33 is like, surprise, everyone was Gustav, I'm gonna throw my fucking controller through the monitor, okay? Don't spoil it. We're not spoiling, okay? I need subtle, layered... Okay, just moving on. Editors, cut that out. We're talking about Latin people.
Him to victory. So what do the results in New Jersey and Virginia show us now? What might it tell us about what U.S. opinions are on the president's immigration policy? With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enton. Harry, a lot going on constantly on the issue of immigration and immigration crackdowns. The Latino vote, what are we seeing among the polls there?
Yeah, what are we seeing? You know, one of the big shifts in 2024 from 2020 was that shift towards Donald Trump, right?
It's our boy.
Immigration played a key role in that. I want to start off with Latinos on Trump and immigration. You know, back a year ago, what did we see on the issue of immigration? Latino voters trusted Kamala Harris more than Donald Trump, but by just 2 points. 1, 2. Look now at Donald Trump's net approval rating on immigration among Latinos. He is 38 points underwater. That is a 36-point shift, essentially, from where we were a year ago on immigration. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are basically tied on the issue of immigration. And now on the issue of immigration, Latinos despise, hate Donald Trump. 38 points underwater. In their mind, he is doing something absolutely wrong when it comes to immigration.
What about the Latino vote overall?
What about the Latino vote overall? All right, how do Latinos feel about Donald Trump overall? Let's take a look here. This, I think, sort of gives the game away.
Goodness.
Yeah, oh my goodness. I mean, that is the phrase of the day. Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. In early February, again, he was just 2 points underwater. Look at where he is now. Late October, minus 34 points. 34 points underwater.
It's the same data, more or less.
32 points over the course of this year. I should point out this is the CBS News YouGov poll, but I was looking at the averager polls. I was looking at our own poll. Very similar shift. 20, 25, 30-point shifts on the net approval rating away from Donald Trump among Latinos overall. Again, whatever Donald Trump is doing in office, in the minds of Latinos, it is not working. They have turned against him in massive, massive numbers.
I was in New Jersey a couple weeks ago on election night there. People were watching certain counties.
I really need, I don't care, CNN, CBS, I don't fucking care. I need like a deep dive of them interviewing Latin people who voted for Trump and now regret it. I need to know what the fuck they were thinking. I need a cut show or like a clip show of 200, 300, 400 Latin men, because it's always the men, saying like, well, I didn't think he meant us, over and over and over and over again. It's all gender shit. It always is, man. 100% of Republican black men just fucking hate women. It always comes back to that. Like, race is not as much of an overriding political determiner as gender is, you know? Especially not now, because we're so gender polarized and fucking, you know how it is.
With high Latino populations very closely. What did we learn?
Yeah, what did we learn from the 2025 elections? I took the highest Latino percentage area in both New Jersey and Virginia. New Jersey, it was Union City. Look at this, 2024 president, 2025 governorship. There was a 52, I'm laughing because you never see any numbers like this, a 52-point shift towards Mikey Sherrill from how Kamala Harris did on the margin. Mikey Sherrill ran away with this. Kamala Harris did win that vote, but by a small margin. Mikey Sherrill did 52 points better. How about in Virginia, Manassas Park? Look at that, a 22-point shift towards Abigail Spanberger from how Kamala Harris did back in 20.
Like, it's honestly embarrassing, and it makes Latin people look pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, politically. And I would say, I mean, I've said that about white people a million times, so you can't really accuse me of being bigoted. Black people, at least, are fucking consistent with their votes. They understand that the Republicans hate their asses, so they vote accordingly. This degree of like fucking whiplashing back and forth, it's fucking crazy, man. What the fuck did Biden do to you? Jesus. This just in, people are stupid. Yeah, but people are being stupid in demographically interesting ways.
2024, we saw huge Latino shifts in both New Jersey and Virginia. The idea of what happens to Donald Trump won't impact down ballot. If you're a Republican, you believe that, that is fantasy land. What is happening to Donald Trump absolutely impacted what happened down ballot. Part of it is turnout, but part of it is persuasion. Latinos running away from Republicans, running to the Democrats, a big reversion of the mean. Latinos back in the Democratic camp. in 2025 in a way they simply put we're not in 2024, and it's because of Donald John Trump.
Look, and a lot can change between now and next November, the 2026, but if you start sort of extrapolating this and overlaying it on places like Texas.
Yes, we're going to be having lots of discussion about Texas. That redistricting may not work out the way that a lot of Texas Republicans and Donald Trump hope it would.
Harriet, great to see you.
Nice to see you, my friend.
Sarah.
All right. North Carolina's governor is responding to the immigration raids you heard them talking about. Governor Josh Stein is urging people to...
Anti-blackness is a good political determiner. For sure, I really do think it usually comes down to gender politics. It's the fascism is the funny feeling you get in your tummy when you see a pretty girl. I don't know. It's insane and disappointing and extremely stupid that it keeps coming back to this, but I really do think that's the common uniting factor here over and over and over and over again, right? The black male Republicans are basically pick-me's off the case of hating black women, like 99% of the time. Let's be real. You say, oh, he's a white boy, what does he know? I know everything, by the way, you know, regardless of me being white. I know everything. Thank you. You have like these Latin pick-me guys who all act like they're white. You know, every Latin guy thinks they're white until the ICE raid comes for them. They all think they're in on it. But there's also this like overriding, I don't know, man. Tie it back to masculinity. The gender polarization has never been this bad. And you keep seeing these like microcosms of it in an interracial sense, right? You see it within the white community, the black, the Latin community. I don't know. Why does the funny feeling in women's tummies not do as much politically? It's a really complicated question. Like, there are answers. It's just really, really, really complicated, you know? I think it's honestly just like, it's a matter of narrative in history, where if you feel frustrated with women as a man, there are people whispering in your ear telling you feminism's the reason why women act in ways that you don't like. Whereas if you're a woman and you're afraid of men, it's probably not because of like, you're worried they'll make fun of your tiny penis or whatever. It's probably because you're worried about them raping you. And if you're concerned about men raping you, you're probably a lot more likely to be susceptible to narratives about how, like, you know, men are dangerous, patriarchy, so on and so forth, which, you know, is true. Those are defensible narratives, right? Like, you know, there are people who go down the wrong path with that, like the femcel bullshit. But if you had to choose a dominant ideology to be guided by, an understanding of patriarchy is probably a little bit more informative than a belief that feminism has made women unfuckable. Another hot take from the Vosh industrial complex over here. Feminism is better than misogyny. Sorry about that. I know. I get myself in trouble sometimes.
Document encounters with Border Patrol agents. He warns that agents are targeting people of color and arresting them in churches and stores.
We've seen masked, heavily armed agents in paramilitary garb driving unmarked cars, targeting American citizens based on their skin color, racially profiling and picking up random people in parking lots. This is not making us safer. It's stoking fear and dividing our community.
Joining me now is Manuel Manolo Betancourt. He owns the popular Manolo's Bakery there in Charlotte. First,
anyone been there? Is it good? Was it Manolo's Bakery? That shit good? Any Charlotte heads in chat?
Let me ask you, what happened, Manuel, at your bakery or outside your bakery?
This past Saturday, I was walking here at this avenue, and then these unmarked cars just approach. Just four guys jump out from the car and threw pedestrians down to the floor, and all of these people could be customers from my bakery. And then these cars start coming here to my parking lot as well.
We're seeing some of the video taken by a bystander who is showing, you know, the agents running, people falling on the ground, them trying to nab and pick up people. What have you done with Manolo's Bakery? What have you decided to do with your business because of this?
It's the first time in 28 years that we closed the bakery. The only time that we had closed it was a few hours when the founder passed away in 2014. So I decided not to risk my customers, not to risk my employees, and not risk myself and my family. That could be myself.
Not to be racist, but this better be his first year in America. Mofo's English is not great. Counterpoint. Having to interact with people who don't speak English that well as an American makes you stronger. They're out. Everyone else in the world is learning like 16 different languages to keep up with your lazy ass. Over here in America, we only have to learn one because we have the global language, because everyone has to learn English to fucking do business with us. People come over here, they learn our language. You're engaging with it. You know what I mean? If your autistic ass can't handle that, you know, this is like a discipline test. You're strengthening yourselves. I've always been pretty bad at understanding people with accents, by the way, like particularly so. I just don't have a good ear for it. I can't hear song lyrics for like in most music. I can't understand what they're saying because like the singing over the instrumentals, I just can't hear it that well, you know? But in Los Angeles, you know, I mean, fucking everyone's Mexico. Everyone is Mexico. So you deal with it.
My wife or my kids who were walking on the streets and they just turned down to the floor like what I saw. So it's too risky and I don't want to carry in my shoulders the heaviness of maybe a kid to lose their father or their mother because they were on their way to the bakery to get a cake.
You're an American citizen, and you've been in this country for many years as an entrepreneur.
Well, there you go.
Are you yourself doing something different because of these ICE raids? Are you afraid?
Yeah, I've been carrying my passport all this year. And nowhere in the Constitution says that as an American citizen I have to carry my passport to show that I'm an American citizen. But because the color of my skin, my race, my accent, and I feel like they're profiling me.
What accent? See, now I'm woker than you.
And I don't want to go through all this process like we have seen and like what I saw, getting hit on the floor and 10, 20 minutes later, you know, threw me to the streets when they realized that they found out I'm an American citizen.
I want you to respond to what we've been hearing from the Trump administration and the Border Patrol folks saying that this is all about following the rule of law and getting criminals off the streets. How do you see it?
If they already knew that there is like some criminals, why they didn't send the information to the CMPD and to the cops here? You know, Saturday they picked 81 people from the street, and just like 7 of them had like some criminal issues. Why they didn't send the information to our local police enforcement? It just, I think, and I feel this is more just like intimidation and trying to scare us and a family separation.
Well, maybe if they crack down harder in Charlotte, they'll be able to reverse that very quickly declining Latin vote, favorability vote for Trump. God willing. Okay. We need to get back on the Trump-Epstein track. You still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? As a matter of fact, yes. Just a second. Bum ba bum bum bum. Bum ba bum bum bum. Why the fuck can't I find the thing that I'm looking for? Tough doing these clip shows. There we go. Okay. So obviously the Epstein files, the motion to pass or to release the Epstein files has passed through the House. Now it goes to the Senate. I don't know how long it's going to be before it makes it through the Senate. Right now, a lot of people are managing their anticipation by talking about what exactly Trump is planning from going for a whole year of trying to bury the Epstein files to changing his mind and reluctantly, it seems, saying that actually go ahead and release them. So I can't tell you what's in his mind. Could be tonight, according to Caitlin Collins. We'll see it if we see it. I can't tell you what's going on in Trump's mind. I can tell you what's coming out of his mouth. I would like to provide for you some supporting evidence, if I may, you know, in my opinion. I think that he's in an extremely bad mood right now. I know, trivial, but very funny. See, again, a lot of people think that the reason that Trump has flipped on this and said, okay, go ahead, release the Epstein files after a year of saying the opposite and being really upset about it when it gets brought up, is that there's some plan in motion, like some kind of editing of the files, which I'm sure they've been censored, don't get me wrong. The release bill literally requires their censorship to some extent to protect associates, like victims and people unrelated to the crimes, stuff like that, you know? But I don't think there's some big play here. I don't think there's a turnabout here, right? Yesterday, Donald Trump's voice was incredibly hoarse because he had, according to him, yelled at somebody over trade. Was it over trade? Was it over Epstein? We don't know. Later that night, being asked on Air Force One questions about, is Venezuela and Epstein? I think a couple of voices overriding. Quiet piggy. I have actually never seen him this mad. Files. That's weird, right? This to me, it's like that line between chauvinism and misogyny, where Trump has always belittled women, but he doesn't usually talk down to them like this. That's like weirdly aggressive. It doesn't have that aloofness that he's known for. You know? God, that's weird. He has been really fucking grumpy all day today, by the way. While the House was voting on the release of the Epstein files, he was having a conversation with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, and he said a lot of really funny stuff. Really, really funny stuff during it. Again, we're tone reading here. Keep in mind, this is happening while the House is gearing up to vote on the Epstein files. You know that through his mind, he's all kinds of shit is racing, right? Like he's thinking how many are going to vote for it? How's the news media covering it? The biggest story in the whole country right now is this overwhelming tide of support for releasing the Epstein files, you know?
Is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question. I have nothing to do with the family business. I have
incredible stuff, really. He goes on to respect to that journalist. Yeah, that journalist is talking the way that I wish more journalists would. He goes on and unbelievably, I actually can't believe this. I genuinely, how do I put this, man? I speak hyperbolically pretty often, so sometimes I wish I had like an extra level that I could pull out. Trump often says stuff that I can't believe. This one I double can't believe. Can I say that? Will you believe me if I say that? Like I'm being sincere, I'm not just playing it up. I wouldn't have to play it up, you know? I actually can't believe this one.
He's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial.
Trump is referring to Khashoggi, the journalist who, on the orders of this man, was killed and butchered. Remember? that extremely high-profile event that people still talk about?
A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen, but he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
It's just you ask, Mr. President, you allow me to answer. You know, I feel painful about
This is beyond the pale, even for Republicans. Like, again, the Republicans tolerate the Gulf states for business reasons. Republicans don't like the Gulf state. Like, Republican voters don't have any love in their heart for, you know, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, whatever else, UAE. To defend the murder of Khashoggi is like, actually unbelievable. Like, he might, like, it is, for how this plays over with the American public, he might as well be defending, like, Al-Qaeda here. Osama bin Laden. I can't think of a comparison. There is no group of people in America who don't hate Saudi Arabia for this.
You know, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he
maximum vice signaling. He's not vice signaling. Vice signaling is when you're aura farming with your retarded Discord fellows over how evil you are and how many holocausts you want to do, okay? Trump just says anything to defend his business contracts, and the Gulf states are one of the few, like, Saudi Arabia is one of the few governments that deals with Trump at his level. Everyone's openly corrupt. Everyone just, they love gold. Everyone loves gold, right? Like, Trump has the interior design sensibilities of a Saudi prince, you know? This isn't vice signaling. This is just Trump being so unaware of what American people care about that he'll, like, there's no moderation in his statement, which to me suggests a high level of political compromise, right? This is not something this isn't the first time this has come up with Trump either. I mean, the murder happened when Trump was president in 2018.
Knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
It's just you ask, Mr. President, you allow me to answer. You know, I feel painful about, you know, journalists. It's really painful to hear, you know, anyone that been losing his life for, you know, no real purpose or not in a legal way, and it's been painful for us in Saudi Arabia. We've did all the right steps of investigation, etc., in Saudi Arabia. And we've improved our system to be sure that nothing happened like that. And it's painful and it's a huge mistake. And we are doing our best that this doesn't happen again.
Mr. President.
He ordered the murder. This isn't a conspiracy. This guy ordered the murder. What was a huge mistake? There was no huge mistake. He ordered the assassination of an American journalist for political reasons. That's it. There's no. It was a hit. It was an assassination. Trump is lucky that this happened during the Epstein file vote, because I genuinely think if this had happened in a quieter week, this would be enough to be like a multi-week news cycle on its own. And bad with the Republicans too. Again, there's no way to vice signal your way out of this, right? There's no way to run through this information from, like, Fox News in a favorable light. It's the Saudi government. Like, Americans don't like the Saudis. Didn't he have one of the guys involved in 9/11 at the White House too? No. That's the current president of Syria, and he's actually, like, a pretty okay guy by the standards of former Al-Qaeda insurgents who run Syria. That he's fine. There are some MAGA people who are upset with him though, because he's, you know, former Al-Qaeda. But no. Mohammed bin Salman is a million times more evil than him, Al-Sharad. Crypto bros like Saudis, right? Is that who this is for? This isn't for anyone political. This is just for Trump. It's lit like in the interview they talk about business dealings between the Trump family and Saudi Arabia. You know, it's just grift, but it's so politically. I don't know. It's crazy, man.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych it.
I'm telling, he's fucking furious about the release of the files, dude. And if you believe he's flipped on the files because there's some bigger plan here, I really think you're doing whatever the opposite of coping. You're reverse coping. Like, you need to take a W, right? He's obviously just upset.
You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter.
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to...
And don't put in the newspaper that I was mad, please. Fox News covered this in the context of like lying about America bringing in more money because of the Saudis, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess openly corrupt leaders like Putin or Mohammed bin Salman or whatever, I think that when they do press conferences, they do a much more convincing job of pretending that they don't hate their own country than Trump does. Defending the murder of Khashoggi is just, I just can't believe it. Like, there's just no reason at all, you know?
It set the tone for some very generous announcements from the Saudi side. The Saudis now say that their investment pledge in the United States will be increased to $1 trillion over the next several years. The first part of that investment in infrastructure projects, like the $14.2 billion the Saudis spent with GE Varnova. The project will build heavy-duty gas turbines and create 1,800 jobs in Greenville, South Carolina.
Brilliant stuff, really. I mean, that's basically all you can really say about this, right? If you showed any clips from the actual, meeting, you'd have a lot of bad stuff to work with. I don't know. MAGA's dead. They're not giving anything to appease their base. There's nothing. They're not giving them anything. Even if the Democrats don't seize the moment, the MAGA movement within the Republican Party is gone. There's nothing left for them, you know? Trump, in 1 week, Epstein files, we don't have skilled workers over here, so we need H-1B visa workers. Mohammed bin Salman did nothing wrong. Khashoggi had it coming. Fucking, like, on every single level, there's just nothing for them to work with, man. They're mad that he brought over the president of Syria, which I'm not mad about, but they're mad about him. I hope MAGA's defeated by their internal contradictions, but I'm not sure we can celebrate yet. Well, we'll have to see how it goes, right? Because MAGA could metamorphose into, like, double MAGA, you know? You could end up getting a kind of like, well, Trump was actually a grifter controlled by the Jews. We're the real MAGA movement kind of guy. Like, that's very possible. Still like 3 years left of MAGA? No, Trump's a lame duck president now. Every single venture that he has is stalled, you know? The redistricting, stalled. ICE, mega stalled. Performative deportation of all the political enemies, stalled. 2025 went fucking terribly for him. The election season. Every single metric on every demographic group, all of them down, you know? He's losing the support of the mega MAGA base. He's losing the support of the neocons, the Epstein file. These movements are built on momentum. As soon as the momentum falters, like, momentum is more important to these people because for them it's all vibes, right? If we were actually interested in governance, in policy wonkery and outcomes, then you can have a bad outcome, but then make up for it later with a good outcome. But you can't do that if you're only, you know, power is narrative. It's pretty much like it's just about continuing that line. He's only 5 points up with white men. He's so cooked. Yep. Okay, how do we win over all the disillusioned MAGA from Fuentes and Candace Owens? Look, one fucking thing at a time, okay? All I'm telling you is that the MAGA movement is done, all right? The loss in momentum is not going to be recomped. He's a lame duck president. It's just going to be spiraling down from here. Maybe you get a blip now and again, here and there, whatever. But the whatever mandate people pretended Trump had, it's gone. Is woke back? Woke is not yet back, but we'll get there. Okay, we'll get there. I have Trump is in the Epstein files written on my back truck window in rural suburban Kansas, and I haven't heard a single bad thing and numerous agreements. That's fucking based. And praxis, thank you. God, praxis is such a soy word. True, though. True. What if he doesn't sign? Stop finding things to be anxious about. I doubt that the Senate is going to pass it with anything less than a supermajority anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter. He's going to sign. He's already said he's going to sign. I fixed my resolution and now you look thinner. Happy to hear it. Yeah, anyone with the, if you've got black bars on the top and bottom of your screen, okay, you need to fix that shit, all right? Do not squish me, all right? I did not lose weight just so you people could watch me through an improper aspect ratio. Do we know when the Senate votes? No, though apparently Caitlin Collins has posited they might vote as early as tonight. And if they do, whew, who dilly? If it's tonight, they'll definitely pass it. They're going to pass it, man. I promise you they're going to pass it, okay? Charlotte resident here, 15% of my school district was out yesterday due to the ICE activity. Pause. Rewind 1 hour. I'm there. I'm there with you. I've got you. Will you be covering it? Will you be doing your homework? Have you done the dishes? What the fuck do you mean, will I be covering it? Oh my god. Oi. Oh. One of these days I'll fix whatever posture problem I have that's causing all that. You're leaning forward too much? Yeah. Everyone's a fucking critic, okay? Shut up. Stop cracking your neck, you'll send a blood clot to your brain. I think that's fake. I don't believe that's true. Have you seen Republicans getting mad at Mamdani asking for donations before he takes office? No, I haven't even seen Mamdani asking for donations before he takes office. Where's his channel? Did he post that?
It's been 2 weeks since we won the election. We've been pretty busy.
Projects the Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamdani.
Too often, this is a time of just celebration as opposed to preparation. We want to make it both. A lot of these things are new, but one of them is pretty old: fundraising. But why are we fundraising? Well, we have less than 50 days until we take office, and we have a lot to do. We have to vet the 50,000 resumes we've received. Thank you. We have to keep paying our incredible team. Thank you. And we have to plan not just our inauguration, but our policy implementation. Now, unlike the campaign, transitions do not get public matching funds from the city. So that 8-to-1 match, gone. It's up to us to raise the money. Usually campaigns take that as an opportunity to rely on wealthy donors, but that's not us. You've already been incredible. We've raised more than $1 million in just 2 weeks. Our average donation is around
Love his jacket.
$77.
That's a coat, not a jacket. Stay woke.
And more than 12,000 of you have donated so far, which is much lower than the last administration's transition. But we're still asking for your help because we need to raise $4 million in total, so January 1st can be the day we start to deliver, not start to prepare. I hope very soon not to have to ask you for money, but until then, I'm asking for you to go to transition2025.com and give whatever you can to help build a New York that everyone can afford. This is your city, and I can't wait to get to work.
You want to start by throwing me up?
No, I'm good. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I hope he's enjoying his celebrity. You have to pay for your own transitions too in politics? Yeah, because you don't get access to the resources of the city until you're actually mayor. So until then, you're kind of coasting on your own. Which is pretty dumb. I mean, the city should allocate, it should have like a small pool of wealth that can be accessed by the mayor-elect to facilitate the transition government. It's pretty dumb. Because you're not allowed to use campaign funds for the no, campaign funds have to be used for a campaign. But it is stupid, right? It is stupid. Could you tell us more about that coat? I've been looking for one like that. It's a pretty simple overcoat. I mean, it's not a Balmaclan because it doesn't have a raglan sleeve. It's not a polo coat because there's no lapel. What's just an overcoat? No, it's not a pea coat. It's not a duster. Don't just say shit. Trench, not a trench coat. It's just an overcoat. It's just an overcoat. Looks like a very long car jacket. Well, then it wouldn't be a car jacket, would it? Because the reason they're called car jackets is because they're short enough that they could be worn while in a car. All right. It's like saying it's like a t-shirt, but with sleeves that go down to your wrists. You can't post the link to her tweet? Are links turned off right now? Mods! I need to have like a secret button under the desk, like the emergency button that like security officers have. I need to have that button that I can press, and it alerts the moderators that my tab list is empty and the links have to come back. It does make sense that Laura Loomer would... Hold on. I'm going to say it. The GOP has a Nazi problem. Oof! Likes to comments. Man, this is like the Milo Yiannopoulos thing, right? The only reason Laura Loomer is saying this is because she herself is a Jew. You know? If she was on top of the shit heap, she wouldn't have a problem with the poop. But now that she's underneath it, is it true that they've disabled auto-translation on Hebrew tweets, by the way? I saw Grok posting about that. Is that real? Yes? That's so fucking funny, dude. Elon is so cucked to them. Oh my fucking god. It's crazy. I wonder why. Every time you hit translate from Hebrew, it's like getting the hidden pages of Mein Kampf. Yeah. It was gone on some tweets for me, but not all tweets. Nice. CNN defamation lawsuit dismissed? Sure, yeah. Inevitable. Zionist Obama speechwriter complains Holocaust education is too good. What?
I think that since October 7th, but really before then, there have been huge shifts in America on how people think about Jews and Israel. And I think that is especially true of young people. So we are now wrestling with a new, I think, generational divide here. And I think that's particularly true in that social media is now our source of media. And this, it used to be that the media you got in America was American media, and it was pretty mainstream. It generally didn't express extreme anti-Israel views. You had to go to a pretty weird bookstore to find global media and fringe media. But today, we have...
I like how global media is being placed alongside fringe media here. Like, in order to view radical perspectives, like the way everyone in the world thought about Israel, outside of the bubble of American protection of Israel, you had to go to some pretty wacky places. Kind of makes America sound like the fringe media place,
Social media, which is a global medium. Right? It is shaped, its algorithms are shaped by billions of people worldwide who don't really love Jews. And
like genuinely, I'm saying this on behalf of Jewish people. Am I Jewish? No, but I did grow up around them. So I'm saying this on behalf of my brothers and sisters from the mean streets of Beverly Hills, okay? Shut the fuck up. You are making so many more Nazis. Please shut the fuck up. It's insane how much damage you're doing. You're doing so much fucking damage. These freak Zionists go out there and they're like, we're used to having complete control of the media narrative. Us, a small minority of Americans. Shut up! Oh my God! What the... Stop! Jewish people are just regular fucking people. You don't stop roping them in to your shit. This lady's doing a come down bit. All the Zionists, they keep doing come down bits, man. It's the shit you would make up as a Nazi or a person making a joke about the fever dreams of Nazis to describe these people. Okay? Stop. Holy shit.
So while in the 1990s, a young person probably wasn't going to find Al Jazeera or someone like Nick Fuentes, today those...
Oh yeah, man. Al Jazeera, Nick Fuentes. Yep. Well, Nick Fuentes didn't exist back then. And Al Jazeera was still a media outlet back then. So, again, like...
media outlets find them. They find them on their phones. It's also this increasingly post-literate media. Less and less text, more and more videos. So you have TikTok just smashing our young people's brains all day long with video of carnage in Gaza. And this is why so many of us can't have a sane conversation with younger Jews, because anything that we try to say to them, they are hearing it through this wall of carnage. So I want to give data and information and facts and arguments, and they are just seeing in their minds carnage, and I sound obscene.
I wonder why. It's funny. This is actually the other side of the coin of liberal fascism, right? I say liberal fascism about the Trump administration because they're using fascist rhetoric and fascist political goals. They're employing them, but liberalism still codes their speech. But here it's the opposite, kind of, or maybe, well, no, it's kind of the exact same thing. Trump and the MAGA movement engages in like open, repugnant, a vulgar fascism, and these people are essentially doing it in a more refined fashion, right? Like their goal here is like, yeah, well, obviously you can't criticize Israel and its path to create an ethno-state, exterminate the inferior people, and establish greater Israel. Yeah, but they're advocating for it civilly, right? It's the same thing. It's just a rhetorical difference. The liberal coalition cannot include these people. I'm not voting for any Democrats that think this is acceptable. It's fucking insane, dude. It's like what she is doing right here reminds me most closely of what the alt-right did back in 2019, where there were some... Hold on. There were some alt-righters that were trying to be like the intellectual wing of the conversation, like alt-hype or whatever, who would do this like, you're just getting emotional about racism. Here's the facts and data about race science. There's no facts and data that you can actually present, that in any way addresses what Israel has done in Gaza. There's no like method, there's no counter argument there, really. It's just brutality. You're not getting around that, you know? Why the fuck does my door keep closing?
And, you know, I think, unfortunately, the very smart, I think, bet that we made on Holocaust education to serve as anti-Semitism education, in this new media environment, I think that is beginning to break down a little bit. Because,
well, that's fucking telling.
You know, Holocaust education is absolutely essential. But I think it may be confusing some of our young people about anti-Semitism.
Yeah, it might be confusing some young people into believing that we're principally opposed to all mass exterminations of people, which obviously not. Remember when the Holocaust Museum of Los Angeles had a scheduled, like, Instagram post that said, you know, never again means for nobody, basically, and they took it down because Zionists complained that implied that Palestinians shouldn't be killed? Yeah, never again is for everybody, and they had to take it down because the Zionists were like, wait, this makes it sound like you're implying we're killing the Palestinians and that it's bad. Actually evil. They're very evil people, the Zionists. Yeah, Zionism's a deeply Hitlerite ideology. It's just, it's Hitlerite ideology that has managed to mask itself within the rhetoric and the guise of American liberalism, which makes it very, very dangerous, you know? At least the Trump movement is honest. It's fascist, so it acts fascist. They're retarded, you know? They scream, they shout. They're open with their bigotry. Over in Israel, they're open with their bigotry. You know, that's why Grok has blocked us from translating from Hebrew tweets. If you take a look at the way the Zionists talk in Hebrew to each other, they're all very, very open with what they believe. It's not subtle, but to Americans, to the English-speaking audience, they're, oh, no, we're just really concerned about the plight of Jews and anti-Semitism, like the anti-Semitism of voting for Mamdani, etc., etc. And our media space is completely complicit. You've got Eric Adams going over to Israel to fucking touch his head against the wall and tell the Israeli people that he served them as best as he could. Again, this shit creates so many Nazis. Like, and I mean this seriously, I'm not trying to be facetious, okay? I come away with from all of this information, from this tidal wave of insane shit, I come away from it with explanations that are not anti-Semitic. There are deep connections between Israel and the military-industrial complex. Our political system is structured to enable a lot of monstrous things, and it gets away with that by couching them within like progressive causes, you know? Much the same way that George W. Bush justified the invasion of Iraq with the liberation of the Iraqi people, you know? Obviously, he didn't actually care about the liberation of the Iraqi people, but saying it like that makes it sound more defensible than just saying you want to, you know, fuck stuff up in the Middle East, right? But when you're presented with all this information, it is so much simpler to just derive from it the JQ. It's the path of least resistance. It takes a lot of education, a lot of knowledge about the world to understand how people can be this fucking crazy and this evil and this open with how conspiratorial they are about controlling local media. You need to know a lot to have explanations for these things. The JQ answer is a much, much shorter path, and there's a lot of people who push it. Not Al Jazeera, mind you. Nick Fuentes, yes. Not Al Jazeera. It's very, very dangerous. So again, for all my brothers and sisters in the mean streets of Beverly Hills, please shut the fuck up. Please, fuck. Oh my fucking God. Jesus Christ. Holocaust education has given people the wrong idea because it's given people the impression that, what? Jesus.
Because they learn about big, strong Nazis hurting weak, emaciated Jews. And they think, oh, anti-Semitism is like anti-black racism, right? Powerful white people against powerless black people. So when on TikTok all day long they see power.
No, you don't understand. We Jews are special. Persecution of us is special and distinct. Insane. It's just like you're feeding people into an engine of anti-Semitism. It's unbelievable. Like her argument here is like, no. Those lessons never again only meant us. Our persecution, that's the only kind. There's nothing else that's like it. I mean, the Holocaust obviously was an extremely unique, distinct event. For one, it didn't just happen to Jews. And for two, let's be real here. All bigotry is basically like the same bigotry. It all stems from the exact same like psychosexual route. It gets funneled through the same social systems. Fundamentally, it serves the same social purpose. You know, there are always alterations specifically in the society, in the language, the context, the culture, whatever. But fundamentally, it always you get back to the brass tacks. You know, always.
Powerful Israelis hurting weak, skinny Palestinians. It's not surprising that they think, oh, I know, the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight Israel. You fight the big, powerful people hurting the weak people.
Just incomprehensibly evil, you know? You don't, in this case, you don't even have the excuse that you get with a lot of the MAGA fascists, which is that they're vice signaling. She's not vice signaling. She's just such a monster that to this to her in this environment is just a sensible argument. More evil than you'd get from the average Republican fascist by far, like easily. And so brazen. Like, God, if you guys, and by you guys, of course, I mean Zionists, but because they've successfully done this, really are controlling American media, which they are. We've seen what happened since October 7th. We know perfectly well how mainstream media aligns, Christian, Jewish, whatever. We know where you guys stand, right? If you're actually so committed to continuing to control the media apparatus, why are you so open and brazen about being Hitler? I don't get it. Shouldn't you be, like, quiet about this? Not attending a panel at the Jewish Federation of North America and just going like, I don't really like how people are using the Holocaust reference to condemn Israel for slaughtering innocent, emaciated, unarmed Palestinians, because you see, it's fine when we do it. Like, why would you? Not gonna lie, this kind of rhetoric sounds insane even to average moderate Zionist Americans. Oh yeah, sure, but average moderate Zionist Americans, like the average moderate Zionist American is probably just somebody who's like vaguely concerned about anti-Semitism and who thinks the Jewish people should have a homeland or whatever. Like this kind of intellectual defense of Zionism, the people who occupy government, media, the people who are like associated with the economic ties that lead to the contracts that we have, you know, Palantir, surveillance systems, all that shit that goes on in Israel that we benefit from. These people aren't regular average moderate Zionists, you know? Like the guy who owns Politico, the guy who said Zionism overall, who calls himself an atheist Zionist, that lunatic, that's not like a regular moderate Zionist. These people are just the Antichrist, right? They're just incredibly demonic. They've just been bought into an ideology or been, I don't know, wooed into. I don't really know how it works on an interpersonal level, but they are part of a system that feeds on evil. And they're so open with it, you know? I really do think that Zionism, in this respect, and hey, there's a lot of other connections between the two, it's like Epstein, where Trump and a lot of the other Epstein-affiliated people, like Dershowitz or whatever, just shockingly, openly evil and pedophilic when in their own, like with their own kind. And from the outside, it looks insane. Like, why does Dershowitz keep talking about how it should be okay to fuck teenagers? He never shuts up. For decades, he hasn't shut the fuck up about it. And he's still invited to media circles for some reason. Maybe because he's a Zionist, you know? You get me? Like, in their environment, it's so normalized in their environment, they forget that it's repugnant elsewhere. It'd be like the French aristocracy, like traveling into the countryside and having casual conversation with the peasantry and talking about like weird incest orgy, whatever the fuck the French nobility were up to, you know? And everyone else is like all of these like 63 IQ peasants who each have 8 kids are all like, what the fuck are they? Mon Dieu, you know? Oh my God, they always say that. They do. They do always say that. Anyway, that shit's fucked up. I do feel really bad for, like, you know, basically all Jewish people in America. Because very, very few Jewish people are wrapped up in it to this extent, man. Seriously, it's very much like the difference between the average Republican who voted for Trump and Stephen Miller, you know? The average Republican who voted for Trump might, like, get bought into Trump's rhetoric and the stuff the administration is doing, but the level of awareness and complicity that you get from Stephen Miller, it just laps the average. And likewise, a conversation between an average Republican and Stephen Miller, the average Republican probably be like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? This guy is like a deranged freak. Holy shit, you know? Feel bad for Jews not in America too? Sorry, I'm an American chauvinist. I only have room in my heart for other Americans. Can somebody link me to a clip where Caitlin Collins suggests that the Senate vote for the release of the files might be tonight? Because that is really, really fast, and I would like a confirmation that that was said, rather than just relying on the word of a chatter. Chatter is known, of course, for being stupid, duplicitous, self-interested, and liars. No, that's... There? Oh, you got one for me. From Caitlin Collins' Twitter? Oh my god, a primary source. That's crazy. Thune is indicating the Epstein file vote could happen as soon as tonight, with no changes given the large margin in the House. Yeah, basically unanimous. Wow! Okay, well, shit. Damn. Did you see Megabonk withdrew itself from the Game Awards? Honestly, probably a good idea for a number of reasons. Game's not balanced very well. Huh. Fuck, I mean, if it's going to go through to the Senate, should I just do a twofer today? Because the Senate vote wouldn't be until later. Should I just, like, cut my losses here and then come back for that? E33 in the meantime? I can't. I'm too fucking stuffed up today. You hear me sniffling all stream? After I got sick, I tried my best to, like, moderate that. You know, I definitely think I overplayed my hand a little bit. I need to dial it back a little bit. Got to dial it back. I'm doing okay this stream, though. Doing all right. I feel a little bit less stuffy than I was at the beginning. So that's pretty good. Senate's already in session. Just got to figure out the timing. Yeah, well, if they are going to go ahead and vote for it tonight, there's going to be... They're going to debate it first, you know? Though, given the overwhelming popularity of the motion, I feel like the debate wouldn't last very long, and then they go into the votes. There would be warning, is what I'm saying, basically. Pedophilia, yes or no debate. That's a contentious subject on Capitol Hill. Very contentious subject. Senate votes take forever just procedurally. Worthless fucking organization. Okay, if that's the case, there are only a couple of donos right now, so I think I'll probably head those off when I reconvene later. What's with the audio? It sounds like an airplane. If you hear anything in the background, it's because my beloved, beautiful partner is unwisely washing a dish. You know, knowing fully well, in spite of things, that I would get to it after stream ends. Such is life. When are you coming back, King? I don't know. When is the fucking vote being held? Nobody knows. Maybe I'll be coming back quickly. I think it's the audio from the House. This is the Senate, not the House, but yes. There, I've muted it. Chuck Schumer saying he thinks it could be signed by Trump tonight. Man, they are really, really fast-tracking it. Kind of crazy how quickly the government can move, huh? Like, theoretically. Well, I guess we'll see how it goes. Listen up, folks. I'm Epstein pilled right now. That doesn't mean I agree with what he did. That means I'm tuned into the content. Don't clip me. Don't put in the newspapers that I'm Epstein pilled. We'll be back for the Senate vote. Clip it now. Fuck. I'll be back for the Senate vote. In the meantime, I guess I'll drink some warm, some herbal tea. I'll calm my throat. I'll do some calisthenics. We'll get ourselves in tip-top shape. All right. Take care. See you guys soon. And I'll read the donos after the next stream.